So good evening all. Our chief guest is now with us, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh. May I request all to please welcome our chief guest with a round of applause. To begin with, I will request President ICC to kindly welcome our chief guest with a flower bouquet and the Uttariyo. We'll keep it. Manali. We are extremely happy to have our chief guest with us who comes from Northeast, and that is how we have a very special relationship with our Honorable Minister. We have engaged on various occasions, and now we are happy that he is handling external affairs, and this is so important for Northeast, which is a landlocked region. And it's important that Northeast engages with the neighboring countries. And I think Northeast is going to achieve its true potential by engaging with the neighboring countries. Without taking any time, I would now invite President for his opening address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to all for being here for our ICC AGM. Sir, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, Honorable Minister of State, Education and External Affairs, Government of India, to the session on strengthening global linkages at the 94th ICC Annual Session and AGM. Honorable Minister, sir, we are particularly pleased to have you amidst us as we share a long-standing relationship with you, sir. We also had the pleasure of hosting you at one of our important events in Guwahati, jointly organized with MEA. We are happy that in addition to your role as Minister for External Affairs, you also have a special focus on Northeast region, since it shares its boundaries with various countries. ICC remains committed to work closely with you, especially for the development of Northeastern region. Sir, you would be happy to know ICC has offices in all the states of the Northeast, and we are particularly very, very strong. We have been part of many events regularly in the Northeast, including doing the investment destination in Tripura. India's nuanced diplomatic moves in these uncertain times, where we have to balance multiple priorities, are being lauded at various international forums. ICC would particularly like to applaud MEA's focused initiatives to prioritize businesses in the policies and interventions. The recent trade agreements with UAE, Australia and Bangladesh will go a long way in strengthening our global relationships. We understand trade negotiations are continuing with UK, EU and ASEAN, etc. It also a known fact that South Asia and particularly ASEAN are not appropriately integrated in terms of trade. South Asia and Asians have huge trade potentials which needs to be unlocked. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has set an ambitious target of making India a developed nation by 2047. East and Northeast hold immense potential in contributing to this vision. The region has a strong agrarian base with rich reserves of natural resources. The eastern states, in particularly, are more developed in terms of industries with a strong MSME presence and quality human capital. The northeastern states of India are known for their organic agriculture, tourism, and renewable energy and hydrocarbon deposits. In sync with India's Act East policy, ICC has a special interest in India's trade and commerce relationships with South and Southeast Asian nations and have played a key role in building synergies between India and her Asian neighbors like Singapore, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Bhutan through focused initiatives. Sir, with these words, I would request our Honorable Chief Guest to present his thoughts on strengthening global partnerships to achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat and Vision 2047. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, may I now request you to please share your thoughts.
President ICC Shri Pradeep Shekhar Surekha ji, Vice President ICC Shri Prabhuji, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be here to share my thought in this gathering of the ICC annual session and AGM 2022. The theme for this session is strengthening global linkages, and I am made to understand that I need to speak on the topic India at Red 2047. Contribution of East and Northeast region, indeed forward-looking session. But from my vantage point, let me speak of how the East and Northeast can contribute to India at Red 2047 and highlight the key role and indeed the need for strengthening our global linkages. From the data at hand and indeed the evolving geo-economic trend, I can definitely visualize a few scenarios which we need to work on. Should we, as a region, aspire to be the new engine growth for the nations? But first off, let me acknowledge the activities of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, especially in the eastern and northeastern regions of India, striving to develop efficient regional network of business. If we are to supplement Prime Minister's clarion call to make the northeastern region the new engine of growth for India, just creation of regional network will not suffice. We will have to make it a point to create linkages for our businesses with global partners, create a symbolic and mutually beneficial relations. This relationship can be as beginning and humble as stakeholders' visits for exposure to understand diverse systems, practices, and producers. Visit to International Expo and Fair to understand international consumer tastes and preference to begin with, but it will have to very quickly graduate to a more advanced level of partnership where our producers can understand not only the current need but project future consumer trend. Ultimately, one needs to accept that we cannot sell if we just produce what we are comfortable with. We will rather have to produce what the market wants. ICC is very well placed to lead in this. Creation of international linkages for our businesses with international partners makes even more sense if we look at the geographical boundary of our region, 99% being international boundaries with 5 countries, and yet a back of the envelope analysis of business linkages with business entities from the Northeast and these 5 neighbors are practically non-existent. This need to be reversed, the sooner the better. Northeastern region is also a natural land gateway to our extended neighborhood to the east, the Asian regions. Time is ripe to explore new opportunities there. The proposed review of our CECA with Singapore and ASEAN Indian trades in goods agreements are at hand. We need to look at ourselves critically, study our competencies, and put forth our views to enable us to reap the benefit of these reviews. ICC is well positioned to lead in this. Friends, we know that the world has changed very profoundly in the last few decades. New focal points of production, consumption, resources, and market have emerged, especially in Asia. This shift has thrown off various premonitions of possibilities for our progress and betterment. Eastern part of India and indeed the northeastern region sit right next to this major focal point. And yet on the other hand, it has demanded of us to do what is necessary. To exploit these opportunities, prominent among these is the ability to harness our international partnership for national growth and development. That really means building strong relationship abroad and having the vision, the policies, and the determination to apply those partnerships at home. Friends, ACIS and Sagar doctrines remains 2 guiding pillars of our foreign policy engagement today. Our engagement in our immediate and extended neighborhoods are guided by these 2. Mutual beneficial business linkages remain a key pillar for full realizations of the tenet of these doctrines. My external affairs minister has often stated at various platforms that economic growth is universally driven by 3 C's: connectivity, commerce, and contact. Connectivity acquires a particular silence in the context of post-COVID economy recovery. It is by itself an economic multiplier. There is a widespread realization of the needs now for more resilience and reliable supply chains. This is not just a matter of production, it is equally a challenge of efficient logistics. We need more multiple options and this apply to the domain of the connectivity. Most of all, where stakeholders from different industries and indeed different countries come together in exploring unleashed opportunities. I'm happy that we are continuously exploring and working to expand connectivity through Northeast, be it through the trilateral highway or through multimodal transit options being explored with Bangladesh. Beyond physical connectivity, slow but steady advances in the realm of broadband, power grids, and oil pipeline connectivity are encouraging signs. It makes economic and strategic sense to be connected. International air connectivity remains one area that needs to be worked out. Industry and government will have to come out with innovative ideas when markets alone cannot be a sole driver of growth, at least for an initial period. Friends, Prime Minister has announced transformational reforms and enabler through visions like Atmanirbhar Bharat and programs like Production Link Incentive schemes and Gadi Shakti. His policy have led us today to be the three biggest startup hub in the world, with foreign investors bringing in approximately $82 billion in 2020 and 21. Our global export have reached around US dollar billion in 420 billions in 2021 and 22. In some of the study reports says that there are 4 big trends in the world right now. One is demographic problem, bracketed aging issues in other countries, deglobalization, disruption due to digitization, and decarbonization because of the world is obsessed with climate change. India, probably the only country in the world benefiting from these trends. The fact is that in the last 5 years, we have done a lot of heavy lifting on policies. India is set to become a factory of the world, an office of the world. I often wonder where Northeast is placed in all this. We need to work together and better. If the highest political leadership of this country is ready and willing to go the extra mile, why not exploit it to the advantage of this region? No other political dispensations of India met Northeastern region front and center in its thoughts and planning like Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has done. Let us do our bit to reciprocate it, work a deep and reap the benefit of this attention that we are getting. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you, sir. I think it's evident from Honorable Minister's speech. Unlike past years when MEA used to only look at external affair issues, MEA is now speaking on commerce. They are talking about connectivity. And I think this is a big change. As a chamber, we experience this every day when we interact with our missions. Every mission has a very focused approach on trade and supporting Indian businesses. Also, the way entire leadership, right from Honorable Prime Minister to our EAM and to our MOS, I think the entire leadership is looking at economic development through the development of investments, trade, and overall business. And that's a very, very welcome change. And Bangladesh is very important for entire East and Northeast. I think that can be another growth engine once the connectivity is entirely in place. So I think President would like to maybe
Start a question, sir. I mean, you've spoken about Northeast, but one of the burning issues in the world right now is the geopolitical problem of the Russia-Ukraine war. Sir, how you, as part of the MEA, part of the think tank, the decision maker, see this influencing the world and influencing our country, sir, this particular war, sir?
Practically, our foreign policy is very clear. We are not supporting any of the aggressive moves, and we are binding by rules of law. And we always appeal both sides, as also our Prime Minister very frequently appeal, fighting and making war between two will not gain both of them. So rather, it will affect to the whole world about the inflations. That inflation we are suffering because of that crisis. And of course, yesterday itself, our Honorable Prime Minister said that whatever inflation may be happen in the global, but we ourselves within our nation, we have to have at least 2 meals to each and every citizen of the country. That is our Atmanirbhar Bharat, and our economic process has still stand. And also one of the World Bank comment has given to us, India is the bright spotlight in the darkness of the whole world crisis. So we are hoping on that view, and we are proceeding our policy on foreign affairs and trying to have a better relationship with the Indian philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Mr. Prabhu?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I was very inspired by what you said about India and the connectivity that we are building with the Northeast, and it being from the Northeast to the other eastern neighbors and to Bangladesh and Myanmar, amongst others, and it also being a gateway towards Indochina, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and other countries. So how do we, I mean, for a long time we've looked at the Look East policy that we had, and our Prime Minister very rightly said, Act East, moving further down. So we made a lot of progress, and what would you say would be our vision for the Look East, Act East policy? And what, as a government, where do you see that, say 10 years from now, what would count as a success for us to having achieved this? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the concern of Northeast. Perhaps we may recall about 8 years ago how Northeast India was treated by the nation during those days before 8 or 9 years ago. It was treated as a landlocked and underdeveloped and full of insurgencies and others. But after the regime change under the leadership of Shri Narendra Modi, it transformed into land linked to the southeast, or we may say that immediate neighboring and beyond extended neighboring we are linking. So Act is just simply looking to the east. We are transformed to actionable, the policy call it Act East. Act East is the connectivity, policy of or providing the facility of connectivity. So the Northeast, along with its potential, we have to evolve ourselves how to utilize the facility provided under Act East, and also the policy of Sagar, Indo-Pacific, and also Northeast India all the time thought that the Bay of Bengal is far in a northeastern concept. Now we realize that after the introductions and rejuvenation of the inland waterways and railways and the roadways after connecting with Bangladesh, we thought that the proximity of the Bay of Bengal is very close to the Northeast. But we are all blind for quite a centuries. But now we realize it, and we are trying to explore through with the help of the Bangladesh, and also we are the networking system has already developed. Perhaps you might have well recalled that inland waterways was already launched, tested, and particularly for Northeast India, we are requesting the Bangladesh authority to have a special space in Chittagong port or in Sotagram, specially dedicated for Northeast India, so that we may have a better exploration, and also we may have a better connectivity, and we may have the full participation of the Act East and other the what you call regional cooperations, and that is the Act is providing and linking with all the countries.
We'll take a last question. Mr. Datta.
Minister, that was a really inspiring address. I think for long the lack of accessibility had been the biggest block in Northeast. I think that is being tremendously addressed. I just came back from Arunachal Pradesh today, and I just saw the new airport ready. Tripura has come out wonderfully well. And I think all of this will open up a lot of opportunities for investment. So I think the next step would be to look at ease of doing business and skill development. Both of could be done through a mix of transformation and some amount of capacity building, which could really leverage on the opportunities that would be opened up because of this accessibility. So any ideas on this, on having an EODB specifically for Northeast?
Now, under the Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, we have many schemes about skilling India, and through that skilling, we may have certain kind of innovative idea to their traditional way of production based on their local resources, and particularly Northeast India, including Arunachal, Sikkim, and other part of the Northeast. We have a lot of green economy potential that has to be identified properly, and it should be under this scheme, different kind of linkages is giving, skilling is giving, then I hope our future is very bright. One time, one of my friend, he said that all the people say that Northeast India is a chicken neck, but he said that though it is a chicken neck, head is in the Northeast India. So the whole body is in the India, but head is in Northeast, and that's why our Prime Minister said that he said Northeast is the new engine for growth of the country.
Mr. Kalyan Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for accommodating the last question. Honorable Minister, sir, it was wonderful what you shared the vision. So the question I had in my mind was that with the pandemic that happened in the last 2 years, and with geopolitical reasons for various factors that we are seeing, there is a conscious thought by the Western countries to reduce their dependence on one particular country vis-a-vis manufacturing and other matters. This is where India has a huge opportunity. More importantly, east and eastern, northeastern part of India. So is there any thought with the government of India, strategically or whatsoever, where they would like to capitalize this opportunity and try and get more business which can come logically to east and northeastern of India? Because we think that's a huge opportunity for us.
Luckily, yesterday itself, our Prime Minister has expressed some point on that. that just now also I mentioned about 4 trends of the coming up in the world. And then demographic dividends, ours is 29 years of age group is having the maximum population, having energy, having more inquisitive and more thoughtful youths are there. We have to harness it through our National Education Policy 2020, and also we are giving ready to 21st century. So based on that, and also the globalization is process is there. The globalization process, all of us well aware that some powerful and prominent country want to dominate. Say for example about the GI taking or that property, what we are saying that, no? That now the globalization process and with the Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are promoting our economy from the smallest part. And therefore in G20, after the presidency will be handed over by this last week of November to our the country, and then we are preparing all these to vibrate at our own native and endemic system of our economy, like that of our Mahatma Gandhi's the rural economy and so on. That has to be revived with the current world technological evolution. We are trying to adapt it, and that's why we are hoping that we will be the 3rd largest economy in the world by next 2027, and then we hope that India will be knowledge nation and digital economy will be empowered by ourselves. And these are some of the process now in hand, and in this matter I hope ICC will also take a critical role and to support the government and to have more linkages and make a balance, reduce the import item, increase the export items so that our nation will lead the world.
Thank you, sir. ICC has been always part of the government initiatives to promote Northeast. I think ICC entered Northeast when there was no chamber which was operating in Northeast, and donor was under Ministry of Home. This was way back in 1998. So Northeast is a passion for us, and we know that Northeast, the day it really unlocks its potential, it will have the impact on entire East and the entire economy. So ICC will definitely would like to work with you under your guidance, and we'll be happy to do whatever we can do. With this, may I now request Mr. Ameya Prabhu for proposing a vote of thanks.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to offer the vote of thanks at the end of this session on strengthening global linkages at the 94th ICC annual session. We're very grateful to Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs and Education of the Government of India, for his presence. I think it was a phenomenally engaging speech, what he said, and I was very inspired by his views. I think, as I said in my question, first we started with Look East, then we went on Act East. Government provided the infrastructure, government has provided now a lot of incentives. So now the next logical step is to go East, to go into the East, to invest into the East, to use that as a platform for the rest of Southeast Asia and the Eastern region. And as I'd like to reiterate, and again I'd like to thank the Minister for saying that there's no better partner to go East than the Indian Chamber of Commerce. You know, there was an old saying back in the day that what Bengal thinks today, India thinks tomorrow. So similarly, what ICC thought for so many years, that the Northeast is probably the premier region, as Dr. Singh just said. Hopefully a lot of others will follow, not just businesses, also business chambers, focus on the Northeast. And as our theme is strengthening global linkages, I think what Dr. Singh just said, Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan, we have two Dr. Singhs on the dais today. What Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, the minister, just said is that the Northeast is the head of India, but I would also like to say Northeast is the soul of India. I mean, I've had the best experiences all throughout India. We have so many amazing people from the Northeast, really doing so well, and it makes us very proud for that, and I'm very happy. But again, going back to strengthening global linkages, I think we are in such a unique place in the Northeast. We have our neighbors, of course, Nepal, Bhutan, China, Bangladesh, Myanmar. We're again not too far from Indochina, so from Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and if I may further extend it, also we could go into Thailand and further into Malaysia. Now, while that might sound a bit incredulous today, but all these trade links existed. All of these links have existed, infrastructure has existed, road, rail has existed. It's just that in the last so many years, we've actually lost those contacts. I mean, if you think of it, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, even parts of Myanmar were also all historically part of, the empire of Raja Chola. So it's not just economic linkages, but also cultural linkages have existed. And today with better rail connectivity, road connectivity, air connectivity, the minister mentioned broadband connectivity, extremely important, because the new highway is the data highway. I mean, all of us, there are a lot of people also logging in online to watch this. So the new highway is the data highway. So that connectivity is also very important. So I think we can really have a phenomenal, I would say, the Northeast can really be the new economic powerhouse. And while we grow economically in the Northeast, and the Minister, only thing I would like to request is let us grow sustainably in the Northeast, because it has the highest forest cover in India. States like Arunachal Pradesh are almost 95% forest. Even the Manipur has a very large forest cover. So some of the mistakes we made in the rest of India while developing, in terms of, if you think of it, you read, in Bombay there's a hotel in Mumbai called JW Marriott in Juhu. I'm from Mumbai. And literally 100 years ago in the 1920s, I have a friend who's a Parsi friend of mine whose grandfather had a forest lodge in that same area. Today, the only jungle there is the urban jungle. So you can't even imagine that being there. So as we grow in the Northeast, the only thing we should do is let us grow sustainably, so that it's the carbon sink of India. So that's one very important thing that I would like to say. With those remarks, I would again like to thank the Honorable Minister. I would like to thank our President, Mr. Pradeep Sureka, Dr. Singh, Mehul Mohanka, our Senior Vice President, and all of you present here today for attending. And thank you very much. And we look forward to working together and as ICC, doing whatever we can to support business in the Northeast. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhu. Thank you for your excellent VOT. I think you really summed it up. And I'll just mention one thing. If you have seen, I don't know if some people have taken a note of this. Earlier, external affairs was only MEA. But a big change which Honorable PM brought in is the states also have a role to play now. And the state level engagement has also gone up. Like, I think few weeks back only in Odisha, there were 4 ambassadors who visited and they want to work with the state. So with this, we would like to close now. But before we close, I will request President to kindly present a small token to our chief guest. Bodhi, just give him the chair. So with this, I would request everybody to kindly thank our Honorable Minister once again with a round of applause. So thank you. With this, the first session ends, but there is no break. We are immediately starting our next session. We'll just have a quick changeover and then we'll start. Our next session chief guest is already with us, Honorable Minister. We'll soon be starting. So welcome back. May I request all the participants to kindly settle down as we would like to start our next session. May I request all the participants to kindly settle down as we would like to start our next session. May I now invite our chief guest, Honorable Minister of Commerce, Government of Myanmar, to please join us on the stage. Please welcome him with a round of applause. I think first session really spoke of engaging with the neighboring countries, improving the connectivity, improving the trade linkages, and here we have the Commerce Minister of Myanmar with us. As you all know, Myanmar has been a very close ally of India, and a lot of Indians have linkages, whether in terms of trade or families or business, and our relations go like long time back in the history. ICC also has been focused on Myanmar, and we have done several engagements. Again, I would say that ICC probably is the only chamber which has traveled by road, crossing through the border of More and Tamu into Myanmar, and we went up to Calais, and then Moiwa, then to Mandalay, and then to Naypyidaw, and we have done it twice. And ICC has traveled to Myanmar 7-8 times. We have MOUs with chambers, we have done business engagements, and we have also done a car rally which like passed through Myanmar. It was India, Myanmar, Thailand. So again, talking about, you just heard about trilateral highway. So ICC has been working, and we are truly happy and honored to have you, sir, with us. First of all, I would now request President to formally welcome our chief guest with a flower bouquet and our local way of welcoming our guests through an Utturiya. May I now invite President for his opening address.
It is really a privilege to welcome His Excellency. I just hope I get the pronunciation right, sir. Mr. Ong Nang O, Honorable Minister of Economy and Commerce. So that shows our cultural togetherness. Government of Myanmar to the special session on India-Myanmar trade relations at our ICC annual session. India has been, as Ameya was saying and Dr. Rajiv Singh was saying, has been a major trading partner for ages. I think even before we were conquered by some Mughals and the British. Overall trade rose from US 328 million in 1997 and 98 to approximately 2 billion in 16-17. The growth, however, is way, way below the potential. Bilateral trade stood at about 2 billion in 21-22, where imports and exports are practically half and half, with a very small trade deficit on either side. So in the last 6-7 years, we've not really had a trade growth, and I think that's where the potential lies between both our countries, with physical proximity, with logistic proximities. So this trade needs to grow. While Myanmar is the second largest supplier of beans and pulses in India, possibility of energy supply from offshore blocks in Myanmar and business opportunities that emerge from an opening economy underpin bilateral relations. Its strategic location holds immense potential for India, since it is India's gateway to Southeast Asia and ASEAN, with which we are presently seeking greater economic integration under the Act East policy. Myanmar shares a long land border of over 1,600 kilometers with India, as well as maritime boundary in the Bay of Bengal. 4 northeastern states, Arunachal, Nagaland, Manipur, and Mizoram, share international boundaries with Myanmar. However, if the challenges of informal cross-border trade are adequately addressed, Myanmar can offer a very attractive alternative access route to Northeast India. Myanmar forms an important part of the BIMTEC Forum, which celebrates the Silver Jubilee this year, and its economic engagement with India under a climate of peace and stability can be a win-win situation for both countries, sir. With these few words, I would like to invite His Excellency, Honorable Minister of Economic and Commerce, to share his thoughts. Thank you.
Excellencies, General Vijay Kumar Sen, Honorable Minister of State, Minister of Road Transport, Highways and Civil Aviation, Excellency Dr. Raj Kumar Rajan Singh, Honorable Minister of State, Minister of External Affairs and Education of the Government of India, Mr. Pradeep Surika, the President of ICC, and Mr. Mikhal Mohanga, the Senior Vice President of ICC, and Mr. Amir Prabhu, Vice President of ICC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. First of all, on behalf of the government of Myanmar, I would like to congratulate the Indian Chamber of Commerce for the successful hosting of the annual general meeting and annual sessions in this very beautiful and historic city, Kolkata. I'm very glad and honored to be part of this meaningful event as a guest of honor. And I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the government of India and the Indian Chamber of Commerce for extending the invitation to the Myanmar delegation. Myanmar and India have a very close and friendly relationship with a strong linkage of religion, culture, and tradition, sharing a long border over 1,600 kilometers, as Mr. President mentioned, as well as the maritime boundary in the Bay of Bengal. The two countries established official diplomatic relations in 1948, right after Myanmar's independence, and it reflects the long-standing friendship. The current bilateral trade with India is somehow significant. However, it is still only under 5% of the total external trade volume of Myanmar. I therefore would like to call for the Indian business community to further promote our bilateral trade to reflect our existing potential and future prospects. Currently, the major export items from Myanmar to India are various varieties of Persian beans such as black mape, toho, green mambing, and hardwood and plywood, veneer, and natural rubber, fish and fishery products, garment, metal, and oil. On the other hand, Myanmar imports pharmaceutical, petroleum products, iron and steel construction materials, chemical, machinery, spare parts, wheat, electrical equipments, plastic raw materials, vehicles, and tractors as major import items. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, one of the milestones of Myanmar's and India's joint efforts for promoting bilateral trade has been the government-to-government Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in the Field of Trade of Urad and Tar, which was signed in June 2021 successfully. According to the MOU, Myanmar can export 250,000 metric tons of urad and 100,000 metric tons of the tar to India annually from 2021-22 to 2025-26 fiscal year. Even though it is the government-to-government initiative, it is not just the success for the two governments. It is the success of the people from both countries, as it brings the benefit not only to Myanmar exporters and Indian importers, but also stakeholders involved in the whole supply chain. I hope both sides can enlarge our trade basket in this G2G MOU by adding green mambing and other kinds of pulses and beans. In this connection, I would like to express my appreciation to the government of India for lifting the quota for pulses and beans, particularly urad and tar, allows to import freely. We expect that the import quota of green mambing will also be lifted for the benefit of the stakeholders of both sides. For further promotion of trade, we encourage to escalate more business-to-business engagement between the two countries for finding potential items and building friendship and trust among relevant exporters and importers. Before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Myanmar companies were invited for participation in trade fairs held in India. As the situation of the COVID-19 is getting much better in both countries, I would like to request for the invitation to participate Myanmar companies in any upcoming trade fairs to be organized in India. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also diversifying the use of currencies of neighboring countries in trade. And the Central Bank of Myanmar has been working closely with its counterpart from India for being able to use rupee and kyat in our bilateral trade. We reaffirm here to leverage our efforts to enhance bilateral trade between India and Myanmar through bilateral meetings like India-Myanmar Joint Trade Committee, Joint Border Trade Committee, and other trade promotional events. With our friendly cooperation, it is foreseeable the immense potential to expand to diverse areas, including agriculture, agro-processing, agrochemicals, oil and gas, energy, healthcare, information technology, skill development, and textiles. Striving to realize those potentials, Myanmar is committed to accelerate bilateral ties and cooperation for mutual benefits. Taking this opportunity, I would like to express my profound gratitude to the government of India for offering us a duty-free tariff preference, the FTP scheme for LDCs, aiming at assisting LDC with better integration into the world trading system and the global economy, including through measures to improve their trading opportunities. Additionally, I would like to thank the Indian government for various technical assistance and capacity building programs in our trade development agenda. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware that the global economy rebounds from the economic shock of the COVID-19 pandemic and turns normalcy in post-COVID-19, we do believe that we can constructively work together to recover our economies with effective collaboration. In this regard, I would like to express my deep appreciation to India for giving assistance in Myanmar's social and economic development, particularly by donating vaccines to support Myanmar's effort to fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. You may already be aware that Myanmar is also the party to a wide range of regional and multilateral trade-related agreements and initiatives. Under the auspices of the ASEAN, Myanmar signed free trade agreement with Hong Kong, China, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and India, respectively. Myanmar is also the part of Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sector Technical and Economic Cooperation, it's short we call BIMSTEC, and the Ayeyarwady Chao Phraya Mekong Economic Cooperation Strategy, ACMEX, and Greater Mekong Sub-Region Economic Cooperation, GMS, and Mekong Ganga Cooperation, etc., etc. Under such regional cooperation, we will put our concerted efforts into improving the 3 Cs, that is, commerce, connectivity, and culture through a more operational agenda. As you might be aware that Myanmar is the only ASEAN country adjoining India, which is the gateway to South Asia. In this connection, we are seeking greater economic integration through India's Act East and Neighborhood First policy. Business opportunities that emerge from surging economy in Myanmar also provide new vistas for engagement. We believe that projects such as Kalina multimodal transport will create a multimodal transport route for the shipments of cargo from Kolkata to Myanmar, as well as to the northeastern region of India through Mizoram. It will link India with Sittwe Port in Myanmar's Rakhine states on the Bay of Bengal, spanning over 500 kilometers. We also support for the successful completion of ongoing negotiations for the coastal shipping agreement, which will allow Indian vessels to reach Myanmar via Sittwe Port on the Bay of Bengal and through the Kalajan multimodal link. Moreover, other connectivity projects also being implemented, such as upgrading the Kalewa-Yaji road, which is also the part of India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway, and upgrading India-Myanmar Friendship Bridge, etc. After the completion of those projects, there will be a better connectivity between Southeast Asia and South Asia. According to the synthesis report on the deepening linkages between South Asia and Southeast Asia published by the World Bank Group in June 2022, it is vividly mentioned that deepening integration between the two regions can expand trade, generate a greater inflow of foreign direct investment, and promote digitization and environmental conservation in South Asia. Moreover, the report also mentioned that the greater access to goods and services market in Southeast Asia provides much needed diversification for South Asian exports. Myanmar is ready to join hands with all our partners country to further enhance regional cooperation. Before I conclude, I would like to highlight some of the salient points as a takeaway from today's event. Number one, we fully support the WTO's multilateral trading system, which is core part of international, regional, and bilateral trade, and also continue actively participating in ongoing and future regional cooperation and initiatives. Number two, we'll work closely with and constructively with all trading partner countries with the view to enhancing trade and investment, and also accelerating our cooperation with friendly countries bilaterally. Number three, with regard to India, we will cooperate in our best endeavor for successful completion of all ongoing projects supported or invested by India, and also invite more investment, trade in goods and services from India to our country, Myanmar. Number four, we will also try to further strengthen existing mechanisms for bilateral cooperation, such as Myanmar-India Joint Trade Committee and Myanmar-India Border Trade Committee, for the sake of the business community and people of both countries. Number five, having full awareness of the Act East and Neighborhood First policies of India, we are ready to join hands with India for promoting trade, investment, and all other key sectors for the benefits of the people from both sides. In conclusion, I would like to put stress against that the global trading environment is facing formidable challenges along with the opportunities and uncertainty. We need to work closely and constructively together at each layer of cooperation, multilaterally, regionally, and bilaterally. I thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, thank you. I think what we all learned that Myanmar is growing rapidly. And if you also look at this year's World Bank report, I think all the economic numbers appear to be good. And post-COVID, now the economy is stabilizing, growing, even in terms of employment, in terms of exports, trade, manufacturing. On all counts, Myanmar is doing quite well. And we also heard Honorable Minister has a very clear vision how Myanmar wants to engage. We also heard about trade in the currencies, bilateral, whether rupee or any other trade. And Minister also mentioned about the Sittwe port, which is being developed by India. And that's a very strategic port. Also the connectivity through the road, and if we talk about connecting with ASEAN, I think Myanmar is the gateway, but more than that, I think there are historical linkages, there is comfort, there is history, there is culture which basically binds us. We'll now open the floor. I think we could take 2 or 3 questions from the floor. Mr. Atnu Sen and Mr. Jain next. Yeah, this side. Mr. Atanu Sen, there.
His Excellency, Mr. Nang Wu, Honorable Minister of Commerce, you have really given us a snapshot of what Myanmar and India can do, and it has a cultural as well as connect for many centuries. But having said that, you also mentioned about the commerce that is taking place, the exports and imports, and mainly it is based on raw materials and manufactured goods from India and raw materials or food items from Myanmar. And you have mentioned about the agri, energy, health in many areas where we can connect, where Indo-Myanmar trade can, proceed. But having said that, the one area where there has been a cultural connect and people-to-people, movement between India and Myanmar is tourism. Now, I'm not just talking about, tourism or religious tourism, but people-to-people tourism and connectivity. You mentioned about connectivity. Can we also, I would like to have your views on how can we have more people-to-people connect, more connectivity, and develop tourism so that Myanmar has beautiful places to visit, so does India. Your views on that.
Thank you so much for very good questions. Actually, whenever we talk about connectivity, yes, we talk about the connectivity. We need to consider not only the institutional connectivity. The institutional connectivity means G2G, the negotiations and G2G relations. We also need to consider people-to-people connectivity and also physical connectivity. That's why both governments have started some initiatives to improve our physical connectivities between the two countries. In addition to that, also financial connectivity is also important. This is the reason why our government decided to use the currency of neighboring countries for trade between the two countries. With regard to tourism, which is the most important part of people-to-people connectivity, because both India and Myanmar has similar tradition, culture, and also religion, so that that can be easily promote the tourism between the two countries. There are a lot of Myanmar people visit to Myanmar annually to India, but most of them they visit to Bodh Gaya for kind of religious tourism. But in addition to the religious tourism from Myanmar to India, there are a number of interesting places. Like Kolkata is one of the interesting places for Myanmar tourists to come and visit. Likewise, in Myanmar we have a kind of huge Indian community. Therefore, I have to say that not only the religious and some kinds of tourism, we can also consider relatives tourism, because you can visit to your relatives in Myanmar. The huge Indian community in Mandalay, in Yangon, and other big cities of Myanmar. And also, there are a number of interesting places in Myanmar. Actually, I see more number of tourists from Thailand and neighboring countries, Thailand and China, than India. This is a kind of, for me, this is a kind of missing gap to have more Indian, to welcome more Indian tourists to Myanmar. I'll be of the view that due to the friendship and also very close cooperation with the two governments of our countries, definitely, the tourism will be a sector of both countries to be promoted in the very near future. We only need is direct flights between Myanmar and India. This time I was lucky because I flew directly from Yangon to Kolkata. In the previous time, whenever I come to India, firstly I flew to Bangkok. Then take another flight from Thai Airways or other flights from. Sometimes I flew firstly to Singapore and then came to India. Therefore, for promotion or tourism, we also need, firstly we need to consider is the kind of promotion of linkages, transport linkages between the India and Myanmar. Our government is quite committed to have more linkages with neighboring countries, and I do believe that we will see more Indian tourists in Myanmar, and also the vice versa. And a lot of Myanmar people, including me, are quite interested to visit to India. There are a lot of interesting places. So this is an area we can cooperate together, in the upcoming initiatives and agendas between cooperation of the cooperation between the two countries. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency. In fact, Indian Chamber of Commerce have been taking car rallies to Myanmar and on to Thailand. But now I think the hospitality sector and the tourism sector, Indian Chamber of Commerce will definitely, participate in doing that.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Jain?
Yeah. Good evening, His Excellency. Thank you for being with us. Sir, I'm from the textile industry. I'm chairing the textile committee in ICC. So we know Myanmar has been a big success story when it comes to garment exports, and it's always spoken about. So unfortunately, India has not been able to create that sort of nexus and connection for trade. So I would request you, sir, if you could connect us seriously with the associations there or some of the leading players, so ICC can create a bridge and make the whole Indian industry open to the Myanmar industry. We had a couple of people who came last week from Myanmar. We had a buyer-seller meet, which ICC had organized, sir. So it was interesting to meet them. I know there's much more scope. And secondly, so on the logistics front, which is a big challenge, we need a direct shipping from India to Myanmar, Yangon, if we really want to take commerce forward. Otherwise, despite being neighbors, it takes a lot of time for shipments to reach. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Yes, actually textile is one of the areas we can cooperate together as well. Because nowadays Myanmar export, about 30% of Myanmar total export is garment mainly to Europe and other Eastern Asian countries. But our textile industry is we call CMB, cutting, making, and packing of the textile and garment products. We still don't have, the textile sector has not yet well developed. So a couple of months ago, I met with our Prime Minister. We talked about economic development, and he has some idea to develop textile industry in Myanmar. And he is kind of fan of India because he told me that whenever we think about development of textile industry in the country, we need to learn a lot from India because textile industry in India is fantastic. So that this is a good idea and good proposal for making use of ICC as a bridge for development of textile industry of Myanmar, and we can work together in textile industry as well. For logistics, I remember that day in 2011, at that time, the Minister of State of Commerce of India, Mr. Jarai Ramesh, he visited to Myanmar. We had a very good discussion about how we can link together, how we can have direct linkage between Myanmar and India, particularly direct shipment between Myanmar and India. Then discussion took about 2 hours. Then we both sides agree, and we signed the memorandum of understanding for having a direct shipping line between Myanmar and India. But unfortunately, still implementation is a bit slow. It has been over 10 years. It should have been done maybe since last 6-7 years ago. However, as I said earlier, our government policy is to expand the linkage with the neighboring countries. That the direct shipping line between, especially with Kolkata and Myanmar, will be materialized in the very near future. I have collected a number of information yesterday and today, and to report back to my Prime Minister for having the direct shipment and benefits of having a direct shipment between India and Myanmar, and that will be our government top priority in promoting business with India. And thank you so much.
That's very nice. Mr. Bamalwa, something on jewelry now.
Your Excellency, Burmese rubies have a special place in jewelry industry, and we have had a long history of trade. How can we utilize this relationship to help both countries for import of rubies and export of jewelry? And subsequent question is, will it be possible to have or host an exhibition in Myanmar for the jewelry industry?
Thank you so much. That is very interesting question for me. Yes, actually, our government has a plan to promote jewelry industry in the country because Myanmar has world best quality of ruby, sapphire, and other gems in the country. However, all those the gems are not directly exported from Myanmar to the global market. We export just gemstone to the neighboring countries and some gemstone to Hong Kong. They make some jewelries and export again to other global market. Therefore, our government has started, even this year, we have already organized 2 emporiums. One is mainly focused on jade, and the other one was focused on other types of gemstones in the country. We can cooperate together because I know that India has the state-of-the-art technology and diamonds and jewelries and other the ornaments, so that I can propose, and also Indian investor, if you are interested to have some business in Myanmar, particularly gems and jewelry business, just let me know, and I will make some appointments with all relevant officials and ministers for your business to establish in Myanmar. And also definitely I will suggest the Ministry of Natural Resources of Myanmar to invite Indian the traders to come and join with our emporiums, upcoming emporiums. Usually we held at least 3 emporiums per year. So that in upcoming emporiums, I will definitely invite, suggest to the Minister for Natural Resources to invite more Indian traders to come and join with us for the promotion of the trade in gems and jewelry business of Myanmar. Thank you.
We have time to take the last one more. So, okay, Mr. Sharma.
So good evening, I'm from the healthcare space. A lot of patients go from Myanmar to Manipur, or they go from Myanmar to South India. Bengal, Calcutta being an airport hub, we miss out on this ability to serve those patients. So my question has 3 aspects. One is, how can we connect better with the patients coming into India for medical tourism, so that Bengal can be a good service hub? And secondly, if there are any good scope in medical education in your country to set up some institutes, etc., what is the scope for that?
Thank you. Allow me to answer the second question first. The kind of medical service is one of the promoted sectors in Myanmar. In Myanmar, we have the Myanmar Investment Commission, in which I was chair until 2019. So according to Myanmar Investment Law, there are a number of promoted sectors. All the businesses investment in promoted sector will be provided a lot of incentives for investment. So medical care is one of the promoted sectors of Myanmar Investment Commission. So we do welcome. There are a lot of the foreign investment already established their hospitals, clinics, and other services, medical services in Myanmar. And we strongly trust on the Indian doctors and nurses. This is the reason why a lot of Myanmar patients go to India for, especially for transplant on the transplant purpose. And medical tourism, yes, we are now facilitating 2 types. One is whoever needs to go abroad for the medical treatment, the government provides some assistance to them. At the same time, we are encouraging the other interesting country to come and invest in Myanmar for medical businesses, and also education and medical. We have some programs inviting some foreign professors to teach our medical students in the universities, and also the medical. Recently, our government they opened a new university in Naypyidaw, and that one of the subjects and topics is in medicine, so that there are a number of kind of opportunities for Indian doctors to come and treat the Myanmar people, or to teach Myanmar medical students in the country. So we have some programs of the exchange of professors and exchange of students between Myanmar and other the friendly countries. So I will convey the message of you to yours to the Minister of Health, so that we can do much better in cooperation in medical care area in the future. And thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. With this, I request Mr. Mohanka to please propose a vote of thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my absolute pleasure to offer the vote of thanks at the end of this very engaging session. So on behalf of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, I would like to express my gratitude to His Excellency Mr. O, Honorable Minister of Economy and Commerce, Government of Myanmar, for his kind presence at this forum this evening. India and Myanmar have been long-standing trade partners, and the potential for increasing this engagement seems to be very high under the aegis of regional forums like ASEAN and BIMSTEC. As the Honorable Minister just mentioned, Myanmar has everything that a consumption economy like India would need, and hence the opportunities for trade between the two countries are immense. According to a recent World Bank report released this year, there are signs of economic stabilization in Myanmar. The mobility has recovered to 2020 levels, after falling around 70% below pre-COVID-19 baseline levels in July 2021. This is likely to have supported the services sector through overall consumer demand continues to be weak due to recent shocks to incomes and employment. And in the manufacturing sector, output and employment also appear to be now stabilizing, and exports have recovered immensely in the recent months. So at the end, I would like to say that we as Indian businessmen and as part of the chamber, we would like to deepen our engagement in energy, metals, construction, and trade, and be a stable partner, at the same time conduct a conducive business climate that can go a long way in augmenting investor confidence in our mutual countries. So thank you very much once again for being with us this evening.
Before we end the session, I would request President to kindly present a small token to our Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Minister of Commerce, Government of Myanmar. Let me also acknowledge the gracious presence of Honorable Ambassador of Myanmar, who has traveled all the way from Delhi to be with us. Excellency, we are really thankful to you. Excellency, may I invite you on the stage for a group photograph. Please come. Please give a round of applause to the Ambassador of Myanmar to India. So thank you. With this, we would now move to our next session. That is basically, I would request President to stay back, and Mr. Mohanka also. Mr. In case Mr. Prabhu is in the room, he could also join us here, please. So there is an update. General VK Singh had last minute had to change his plan. He went to Guwahati, but the good news is that he's flying back on a special plane to be with us. And his flight is likely to land around 7:30 or so. And then after that, he will join us. So we will use these 10-15 minutes to also finish our business agenda for the AGM. And I would invite President to please initiate the proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Well, we've had 2 engaging sessions, and I'm sure you're all looking forward to the next 2 sessions. So we will quickly do the formal part of the business. It is my duty to report a little bit in brief as to what we did or did not do this year. So very warm welcome, first of all, to the 94th Annual General Meeting of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Today marks the last day of my tenure at ICC President, and I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve the ICC for 21-22. The year 22 has been a unique one, with businesses and lives returning back to normal in the post-pandemic situation. We were together in this fight and have come out stronger and wiser. This year, apart from our normal business, we took a number of initiatives to facilitate our theme of governance for growth. ICC provided a platform for interaction between its members and eminent personalities from across government, businesses, and wide range of disciplines, including politics, business, science, technology, education, entertainment, startups, and many, many more. As part of our initiative to increase ICC's pan-India reach, we opened the Tamil Nadu State Office, we restarted the Assam chapter, and very recently, we launched the ICC Gujarat State Council in Ahmedabad. With our already existing presence in Kolkata, Mumbai, New Delhi, Guwahati, Bhubaneswar, Ranchi, Patna, Hyderabad, Siliguri, Agartala, and with the addition of these new chapters, we look forward to increasing our presence in other cities in the coming years. With a vision to make India globally competitive in a post-pandemic world, the Chambers put special focus upon creating effective economic bridges with other countries. We hosted businesses and government delegations from Bangladesh and Vietnam and took a business delegation to the UAE. We also had a number of sessions with ambassadors and the councils from various countries. These exchanges, coupled with our participation in various trade shows, helped to forge strong alliances with the industry and government. We already have the delegation from Myanmar. They're having a B2B tomorrow at the ICC office, and I hope this will encourage their more visits to our country, sir. During the year, ICC ventured into the defense sector with the government, with participation in the Def Expo in Gujarat, and we also participated in defense shows in France and Philippines. The Chamber organized or was part or played an important role in Destination Tripura Investment Summit, Bihar Investors Meet, Bengal Global Summit. Our Orissa chapter organized a women's business mela, which was first of its kind. Thank you, Sukriti, for doing that. Of course, without saying Mr. Pani, of course, always the able leader in Orissa, which was inaugurated by the Honorable Chief Minister of Orissa. Members will be happy to know that in keeping with times, ICC has also built a distinct social media connect to engage with stakeholders and the society through social media like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. We have launched an exclusive web and mobile application for members which provides several digital services. ICC also offers an outstanding internship program for the brightest young minds across the globe. This year, we had interns from Princeton University, USA, and also from Jadavpur University, Kolkata. My tenure as president of ICC has truly been enjoyable and a great learning experience, I had to talk about and learn about subjects which were never my strong points. And being a real estate man, being a cement and a brick man, Rajiv used to always push me to be part of so many other programs. Thank you, Rajiv, for doing that. It actually increased my knowledge on a variety of subjects. I'm truly grateful for this opportunity. As I demit office, I have many people to thank. I can't name all of them, but I would like to especially thank my incoming president, Mehul Mohanka, and VP Ameya Prabhu for the unstinted support during my tenure at ICC. Thank you. My sincere thanks to the executive committee members, the chairs, co-chairs of state councils, the chairpersons of various committees, and the entire team of ICC. I would also like to thank the past presidents and the advisory committee for the guidance. I would like to congratulate a special mention to the Young Leaders Forum, led by Mudit Beriwal for an active year. And you'll be happy to know that we are expanding our YLF to other cities in India. So we would have yet one more growth story to talk about in ICC as the years roll by. A special thanks to you, Dr. Rajiv Singh, whose support, knowledge, and advice made my journey an enriching experience. Thank you so much. If I'm permitted now, I will do the formal part of the AGM business. The first resolution to be moved is, may I read out the resolution? Resolved that the report of the committee and the auditors and audited balance sheet and income and expenditure account of the Chamber for the period 1st April 2021 to 31st March 2022 be and hereby adopted. May I have a proposer and seconder? Mr. Pani is proposer. Mr. Mohanka is seconder. If there are no questions or objections, may I take it approved? Thank you. The next agenda is the resolution is resolved that the persons whose names have been circulated to members under circular number ORG 1 dated 17th August 2022, having stood for election and thereby being no other valid nomination against any of them, the following be and I hereby elected as President and members of the committee to represent the ordinary members of the Chamber for the year 22-23. President, Mr. Mehul Mohanka, and elected members remain same as last year, an addition of Mr. Abhyuday Jindal. May I have a proposer and seconder for the resolution, please? Mr. Ameya Prabhu, Mr. Jain. Thank you. Mr. Roy. The next resolution, resolved that Shri S.B. Dhandekar and Company, Chartered Accountant, be and are hereby appointed auditors to the Chamber for the year 22-23 and an honorarium of rupees 30,000 only. Can I have a proposer seconder, please, for this? I have Mehul and this thing. If there are no objections, may I take it as passed? Thank you. The last resolution, resolved that pursuant to the provision of Article 9 and 9A of the Articles of Association of the Chamber, the provisional election of the committee of the members be and is hereby confirmed. Can I have a proposer seconder, please, for this resolution? Mr. Kaur, Amya. So can I take this as approved? Thank you so much. So congratulations, Mehul, for relieving me of this responsibility, though it has been an enjoyable year, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Can we give a big hand for Mehul? Mehul, the mic is yours.
So first of all, I'd like to thank, now I can officially call him past president, Mr. Sureka, for his unstinted support in leading the chamber in the past 12 months. It's a huge responsibility that's been bestowed upon me by the chairman, Mr. Goenka, as well as the advisory committee, the past presidents, and the executive council. And I don't think I'll be able to do justice to this position unless I have the support of my colleagues in the form of Ameya, and Abu, the incoming Vice President, Abu there, if I can call him officially, and of course the ICC office. So I've always believed that as office bearers, we are as good as the staff that who support us. We volunteer our time, which is extremely precious to us. And I would sincerely request every ICC staff member here that please push us. Because if you can push us, you will get the best out of us. So I hope to deliver an exciting 12 months. I'm not sure if I'm going to beat Mr. Sureka to it, but hopefully I'm going to be able to deliver some justice to my position, and I look forward to working with all my members. Thank you so much.
So with this, I think we are all waiting for our next session. Mr. Irani will be with us soon, but we will take a short break because we'll readjust the stage and some changeover. So we can call it a comfort break or a tea break, and we'll start in, please come back in 10 minutes. So it's a 10 minutes break.
हाँ 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 वही कर रहे हैं. Good evening, gentlemen. Can we all settle down? May I welcome Mr. Bowman Irani. It's an honor and privilege to have him in the city of joy. Many of you may be aware that Mr. Bowman Irani's journey has been full of challenges, learnings, ups and downs, and of course, remarkable success. His has been a story of passion, self-belief, commitment, and never say die spirit. While working at the Taj Mahal Palace and Tower, using the tips that he received, Mr. Irani bought a camera and started taking sports pictures as a hobby. Thereafter, he pursued photography for a few years, during which period he undertook freelance photography for Times of India, Miss India contest, and World Boxing Championship. Today is also the day his latest film, Uchai, has been released. In perspective, Mr. Irani's story can be the story of every Indian, and in the sense, he's truly Apro Buman. So may I present to you Apro Buman on stage, please, sir. Can we have a round of applause for him? Mr. Bowman Irani.
Hi everyone. Good evening. Hey, come on, little energy. I get better receptions when I go home to my wife. Better than this. Thoda aur hona chahiye, haan. How are you all? Good to be here. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, sir. I couldn't hear much, but obviously he was saying nice things, right? I think. So, gentlemen, ladies, why don't you all settle down, people? Yeah? We'll do a lot of pictures. I love taking my pictures. Trust me. So I think I must have ended. Don't mind me, I sometimes get very excited. So just in case, I couldn't hear it, so just in case you all didn't hear it, I need to make sure that my name is Bowman Irani, in case you all don't get any. And maybe some people don't know what I do and who I am, you know, and you should never take it for granted. I'll tell you why you shouldn't take it for granted. You must take anything for granted, right? I was on a flight and this guy walks in and spots me and he gets so excited. You can hear him from the aero bridge, talking so loudly and rudely, and I was shouting and everybody's looking at me. Yeah, how rude he was. We've all done it before. We all know that. And he enters and he spots me and he gets very excited. And I get very chuffed by that. Hey, my favorite actor. Arey, duniya ka sab. He's telling the guy on the phone. Ek minute ruk ja. He's telling the guy on the phone. Main baat karwata hu unse. Haan. So he comes up to me and says, Arey, my favorite actor. He comes to my ear and loudly, for the whole plane to listen and hear. Aapka naam kya hai, bhai sahab? That was it. After that day, I make sure I introduce myself to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bowman Irani and I'm an actor. Hi. Come on, little energy, man. All right. So here I am in this beautiful city, in this beautiful hotel. Thank you very much. I'm going to tell you a story. It's going to take about 3. How many hours have we said this is going to be? 3, half, 4? No. We must clarify, no? Only Barjatia films, huh? By the way, Uncha is released today, so I'm very, very excited, and it's already made some noise. So I'm very, very happy to be here sharing that moment with you. I'm going to tell you a story. Share a story rather. I won't preach. All I do is I'll tell you a story of my journey and the lessons that I learned along the way. That's it. And I hope we identify with what I'm saying. Right? Shall I begin? It's not an extraordinary story. It's not about man who, with one lung, climbed Mount Everest or, circumnavigated the earth on the Kon-Tiki or something like that, right? It's about a regular guy, a kid, who was born in 1959. Someone's already calculating, oh, he's 63, so looks older. And I was born in the December of 1959. My father passed away in the May of 1959, so I was born posthumously. And when I came into this world, everybody called me Bichara Baman. And I used to wonder why. There was nothing wrong with me except that I had some issues, but I was surrounded by women. Not in the hero Shah Rukh Khan kind of way. I mean, in the sense that my mother, 3 sisters, all girl cousins, and some 84 aunts. I'm exaggerating, of course. And they all were so protective of me, almost mollycoddled me. And I don't think that's good, but then I don't think that's great, because then you become too protected. And it played a big part in my life, because I also had a speech defect. Now, it may not be a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people have much worse to deal with. And I had a speech defect. I used to speak like virus. You remember virus, guys? Yeah? With the tongue stuck out, yeah, okay. And I decided later, I'll tell you why I decided to do that with virus. But I used to stutter, I used to stammer, and I used to speak with my tongue hanging out like that, and a squeaky little voice, like a little girl, and everybody used to laugh, just like the lady over there laughed. It's perfectly okay. I don't feel offended about anything. Never. I'm married 40 years. Why should I get offended about anything anymore? And so my mom, this young widow, 30 years old, with 3 girls and me in the oven. And then when I came out, she took me to St. Mary's School for a good education. And then we went and met Father Molinet over there. And Father Molinet said, Mrs. Irani, I know the situation. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. And he's in. Easy peasy. So he showed me the photograph, thinking he's going to make life easy for me. He showed me the photograph of a horse, but the horse has an S in it. So if I had to say it, I would go, Hoth. So I didn't answer. So he showed me another photograph. He showed me a photograph of a mouse. If I had to say it, I would say, mouth. So I didn't answer. And Mom, I don't know if you know who a Parsi is, Mom kept pinching my bum. I didn't answer. You know what I thought? He'll think I'm a bloody idiot, right? I don't know what a horse is. And if I spoke like that. Needless to add, I did not get admission in St. Mary's School. I didn't. Yeah, I went home. Mommy's crying in the taxi. 10 days later, Father Molinet calls up my mom and says, Mrs. Irani, I think we made a big mistake. We're educationists. Which child doesn't know what a horse is? Which child doesn't know what a mouse is? Of course he knows. He's just shy. Send him to St. Mary's School and we'll make a man out of this lad. And I think that's my big takeaway. You know, what's the takeaway? We don't judge a book by its cover. You know, had he not given me admission, my life would have been probably a little different. Problem was, after a bit, I'll come into the audience, I feel I'm, like family, it feels nicer, right? Yeah? Ma'am. Okay, we'll do it right away. So, we can talk. This looks nicer, right? Feels nicer. So, अरे बाबा आप बैठो ना उन लोगों को बुरा लग मैं एक से एक फोटो दूंगा फोटो सेशन दूंगा आपको I got into St. Mary's School but discovered that I had dyslexia and dyscalculia, which is a real problem. People don't believe it, but I really do not know how to do arithmetic. I forget my room number. Believe me when I say that. In every hotel, I sometimes toodle off into the wrong room, knocking on the wrong door. Sometimes I do it on purpose. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Come on, Kolkata, have a sense of humor. Laugh a little bit, man. And So my marks weren't great. I'm going to try cracking a joke that I've cracked in many audiences. Let's see if this audience laughs for the first time. Okay? Let's see. Okay? I passed 10 standard. Well, that's a joke. You don't have to laugh. But you laugh. But the big punch is, I passed with a high third class. There, Calcutta Yellow, lovely man, keep it up. Yes, we did it, man. And I did not know what to do with myself. I said, what am I going to do with myself? All my friends are doctors and, like you gentlemen. But I didn't have that. So I was stuck. I've learned the art of screenwriting over the past 9 years. And the first rule of screenwriting is every character, or rather the protagonist, must want something. And if he doesn't want anything, that story should never be written. So what did I want? What did I want? My mother figured it out in many ways because she realized I wanted something. My speech, my confidence, my lack of confidence, I beg your pardon, disappeared every time I went on stage. I became like a tiger. Every time I spoke about a movie, I spoke like a tiger with so much confidence. And my mother picked that up. So she used to send me to the movies every day. Think about it. She used to send me to the movies every day. There was a cinema across the road, just a street there, called the Alexander Cinema. And she would say, "What, did you watch a movie today?" I said, "Yeah." "No." "What movie is showing?" "Pyasa." I go, "Watch it again." She actually used to send me to the movies every day because she understood that my education came from a source that I could accept, not necessarily in a trigonometry book. And she would say, "Go and see Guru Dutt's acting. Go and listen to the lyrics. Hear the poems, the art direction, the lighting, the cinematography." And I was the happiest kid in the world. I went and saw a movie called Funny Girl. Everybody familiar with a movie called Funny Girl? Barbara Streisand's debut film. She won an Oscar for it. And I used to go to the Strand Cinema by myself, a little toddler. Toddler meaning 10, 11 years old. And I used to go to the Strand Cinema and the doorkeeper, man, used to say, "तेरे को समझ में आता है क्या ये पिक्चर? तू कल भी आया?" मतलब हाँ, "कितनी बार आएगा तू?" मतलब बहुत अच्छी लगती। "क्या अच्छा लगता है? समझ में आता है?" मतलब इतना बहुत समझ में नहीं आता। "तो फिर आता क्यों है?" I didn't know then. I used to take my teachers on dates with me to watch Funny Girl. I watched it 37 times at the Strand Cinema. I don't know why. I figured out a little later. There's a shot of Barbara Streisand, the opening shot in the film. Okay, she walks towards the theater, the New Amsterdam Theater in New York, and there's a shot of her leg in a leopard skin coat, and people are walking into the theater. And she didn't go there. She went into a dark alleyway like this, and went behind, right? And went in from the artist's entrance. And today I realized that was my want, to walk into the theater through the artist's entrance. And yeah, you must have a want. Anyway, now we are stuck with a very high, yes. Oh, I've got Malmal. Thank you. Say hi to Ashu, everybody. She's so sweet, yeah? Everybody knows you here? Let's make you famous. Ashu, everybody, give it a big hand. Come on, man. Yeah, man. I got the name right, no? Oh, good. Even if I didn't, she'll say yes, of course. So sweet she is, really. So, I went to my grandmother. And I said, "Dadi," I said, I have a plan. I want to be a waiter. She said, "Great." She said, "Great." She said, "Do what you want. The simplest of lives, the simplest of careers, or the most high-profile careers. But you've got to be the best in that. If you're a cobbler, be the best cobbler on that street, straight up." I said, "Okay." I'm talking about my granny. She was a refugee. They ran away from Iran because of persecution. She and my grandfather, they were teenagers. She had a little baby, my uncle, who was dying. So They rode across the desert on a donkey, stayed in a tent, and then sailed across to Mumbai in an Arab dhow. Right? This is not out of a Bible. I met my granny, so you know what I'm trying to say. Right? So came to my room and said, "Oh, how was your flight?" I said, "The flight was great." "How's your room?" I said, "The room is great." And I think of my granny, and I say to myself, this is where I come from. What am I going to be fussing about? Saying this room is a little tiny, we are very sorry, and Ashu came and it's very tiny. I said, hey, 20 years ago when this hotel had opened, and I walked into this very room, the general manager took me to the very room and I said, my God, I've hit the big time. Look at this room. And today they're saying it's tiny for me. No, everything is fine. Everything is fine. You know, when you grow in life, you know, never let the perks become more important than the job itself, I say to myself. So thank you for the arrangement. I'm fine with it, truly. Only for the stage, I kick up a big fuss otherwise. Anyway, so I decided to be away. Went to the Taj Mahal, Mumbai, the best hotel in the country. ITC, please don't feel bad. You all were not born that time. So please don't say, they'll change my room again. You know how it is. Taj Mahal, come on, man. Taj Palace Hotel, Mumbai. I went over there, met the Parsi general manager, Sam Bhada. Somebody remember the name Sam Bhada? Will you? Just make a note of it, na, brother. Do this for me, na. No, he's saying, I can't remember Sam Bhada. Ye kya hai? Sam Bhada. Remember the name. So I go to meet Parsi. Everybody here who knows who a Parsi is? How many Parsis in the room? See, that's the bloody problem. There are too few Parsis left in the world. 65,000 or 56,000. I'm sorry, see, I'm mixing up the numbers again. 67,000 Parsis left on the planet. Can you imagine? La, I have to know this. Kolkatans are very informed. Name some famous Parsis. Come on. Come on, just shout out some names. Sorry, J.J. Rani. Rushi Modi. Who's that? J.R.D. Tata, think about it. Sam Manekshaw, think about it. Right? Prince Charles, yeah? No. What? He's not a Parsi. What are you talking about, man? Obama, huh? Prochi Medi, Soli Surabji, what wonderful people. Rusi Gigi Boy. Yeah, King Charles is not a Parsi. Look at his nose. He can't be anything else. Yeah, so all the buzurgs, the elders of the community come to me and say, Baman, kuch karo. Main kya karu? I've done my bit now, you know what I mean? Can I crack a naughty joke? No, it's okay. So, I can't go on the honeymoon and supervise, right? What do you want me to do? Make sure numbers, we're down, the numbers are dwindling, and these damn conservationists here in Bengal. Save the bloody tiger, I said, damn the tiger, save the Parsi, we need more Parsis. Sorry, man. Sorry, guys. Yeah, come on, man. Anyway, I went and met this guy, so I'll be checking on you. What's his name? Sam Bhada, okay. I'm going to pick on you. You're okay, right? Yeah? You're married? Yeah. Okay. Do you think... wow. A gutsy fellow, man. Yeah. So Sam Bhada sitting over there and he's saying, okay. Oh, what's your name? I said, Baman. Parsi hai? Bola, haan, Parsi. Which department do you want to join? I said, style. Food and beverage, sir. Seeing the whole goddamn hotel business is about food and beverage only. Idiot! Which department? Again, so the rendezvous. We got something. You want something. Remember, you must want something. And your life will always be about one big want and many mini wants before you get there. Want. And I said, rendezvous. The French restaurant, the most expensive restaurant in India, they didn't have prices written over there. Kuch bhi thok dete. Hotel wale kuch marenge mere ko utha ke phegenge. And it was on the rooftop. You see, you want to start on the rooftop? Wow, I'm impressed. I said, great. Go to the basement, you idiot. So you think I'm going to let you go up there on the first day of work? You got to pay your dues, son. You got to pay your dues. And that was the big lesson I learned. I went to the basement and started in room service. I think that's a wonderful, as you walk around the whole length and breadth of Taj Mahal Hotel, serving tea and food and drinks and what have you. Tea used to be 9 rupees. When the Irani chai used to be 25 paisa. Ripping us off, this 5-star hotel. No, you're very good. You're very good people here. And one day, I didn't even know people could sign in a folder, leather folder. हम लोग तो वो कटोरी में आता ना इसके साथ, toothpick के साथ, 4 आना 8 आना वाला. So wow, this is very posh, I must say. And instead of 9 rupees, he put in 5 rupees. I said, what's that? It's 9 rupees. He said, no, that's for you. I said, for me? For me? Bichara Baman? Bichara Baman made his first $5. Mark Zuckerberg, suck it, you know. Yeah, Bichara Baman made first $5. I called up my mom and I said, Mom, I made my 5. And I promise you there's more. She's saying, I'm proud of you, son. I'm proud. I told my granny too, proud of you, son. And finally, I worked my way all the way up to the rendezvous. And I was tokawing the French menu like Pierre or, Marcel, the rendezvous de fruits de mer, the crème, the basilic ooze, pistil. इतना ठोक पहले से एक्टर ही था मैं. इतना नौटंकी था ना मैं. Just pistil the saffron. Zafran बोलने में क्या तकलीफ थी? Pistil the saffron, good choice, very nice, very good. इतना style मारता था मैं. But I did well. I made a lot of money in tips. And yeah, let's take the picture, sir. Let's take it. What the hell, man? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I used to literally put all the money in a piggy bank, right? I said, put all the money in a piggy bank. Mom calls me and says, come home. I said, what happened? She said, I met with an accident. I said, oh, you okay? She said, yeah, no, I'm fine. My mom, tough girl, really tough girl. Till the day she died. She said, you'll have to sit at the shop. Now, I didn't want to do that, even though it was a shop, the size of, it was as wide as these stairs and as deep as maybe up till here. We had a shop. We were shopkeepers. My grandfather, before my dad, and then my dad passed, and my mom took care of the shop from 1959. This must have been 1979. He says, you'll have to go and sit at the shop. I can't go. So, okay. Went to the shop, and I became a shopkeeper. It's called Golden Wafers. We used to fry and sell garma garam potato wafers, right? I worked there for around 14 years, right? And I wanted the wafers to be in the tradition of good Parsi in Irani establishments, the best in the city. And that happened. I became complacent, however. And on one weekday, I decided to get married. I got married at the age of 25, and before I turned 26, I became a dad. What are you calculating? I can see you calculating. He's calculating. He got 25, he got married. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. You didn't think of 25 and 26. Oh, little rushed, I say. We need legal Parsi children. So my son. And 7 years after I got married, I realized I had not stepped out of the city for a holiday with my family. I didn't have the money, I didn't have the time. So before I could go for a holiday, I had to make some money on my own. I broke the piggy bank and I bought myself a very manual camera. And I said, I'm going to combine 2 of my hobbies. One is sports and the other is photography. And with that manual camera, I used to go to school events. School sports day, high jump, long jump, cycle races, and then motorcycle races. I graduated, football, cricket, everything. And I became a pretty good sports photographer for bacha log. And used to sell each photograph for $25. Made some money and said, now's the time to go for a holiday. So, picked up the phone, 3-digit booking you got to do. PP, no PP, ordinary, urgent, lightning, super lightning, ordinary baba, no PP. And we called up and I booked a room in a place called the Shoreham Palace. There were no websites those days, right? I took my family, went by train, ST bus, rickshaw mein hum log 4 jan with all the bags on top of us. We got down and we were staring at this hotel. I swear to God, it looked like, have you all seen a Ramsey horror film? You know, the one with the ullus around the turret? It felt like that. It felt like my wife was looking at me, what the hell, man? She didn't say anything. When she's upset, she just expressions. She's very good expressions. I said, don't you worry, darling. It's a heritage building from outside. They don't do anything inside. Come inside. And I'm an actor, no? I can improvise. Went inside. It was worse. Even worse. You know, those big doors with louvers and the big tea curry. You know that one? And I went inside the room. And the door opened. And Ramsey brothers were there for me. Because even the sound effects would come from there. I love telling this story. Open the door, dark, pitch dark. I said, boss, please turn on the light. He turned on the light. He turned on the light. One light came on. And it was still pitch dark. Pitch dark! I kid you not. And I looked at that light. It was a 0-watt bulb. And I started crying. The kids were jumping on the bed, thinking this is the best hotel in the world. And this was the most stinky place that I've ever been to. And I said, I got it wrong. You don't need the presidential suite. But you got to get it right for your family. And most of us over here, I can say this with great confidence, work for our families. We do. It's true, is it not? We want our families to be happy. We want to say, hey, lovely, but the kids were happy. They're silly, actually. They didn't have many wants those days. Now they do. So when I came back, I said, my life is represented by that bulb. 0. I got to do something about it. I said, enough of this going to school and taking pictures for $20. Up your game, buddy. So, reach for the stars, you land on the treetops. That's my policy, right? And I go and meet Aspi Adajania. He was the president of the Indian Olympic Committee for boxing. And the World Cup of Boxing is coming to Mumbai. I said, that's the event I'm going to take pictures. Is this a good angle? So my nose is looking okay, my tummy is looking good. I'm very conscious of my tummy, I try, right? I went to him and I said, I want to be the official photographer of the World Cup. It has to be in my resume and I'll get, Okay. So when I met Aspi Adajania, please write down the name, no, darling? Tell him, what the hell? Come on. Aspi Adajania. No, that's okay, I'm pulling. I went and said, sir, I'd like to be the official photographer of the World Cup. Give me some Parsi answer. No problem, sir. Come back, brother. Without you, I get scared. And he said, we don't need any official photographer. I said, please give me, I'll do it for free. Just give me the badge. I'll do it for free. You don't know what you're going to do. I said, why? He said, you are that wafer wala. Huh? Racist nonsense. You're a wafer wala. I said, yeah. Acha, where do you buy your potatoes from? I said, what kind of weird conversation is this? Where do you buy your potatoes from? Wafer wala hai, to potatoes ke baare mein bahut manu. I was very good. I used to fry wafers in this kadai, and I used to get chalas. The only thing I was a little conscious of when I was frying wafers was my body odor, because it smelled of ghee and potatoes wherever I went. No matter how much I showered, it never left me, because I used to sit in that room with those fumes. Anyways, he called me the waferwala. I said, okay, I'm proud to be a waferwala. What the hell is wrong with that? We've all had many of us have humble beginnings, right? Where do you buy your potatoes? I said, in the onion and potato market in New Bombay, in Vashi. Okay. What do you know about potatoes? I said, this conversation is ridiculous. What the hell are you talking about? I said, I know a lot about potatoes. I know the regions where they come from. I can tell by the texture, and I can shove my nail into it and tell you when it's good to fry. Mettupalem, Hassan, Talegaon, Shimla, Vatti. I know the drill. And I said, oh, you're very good. Juna potatoes. Saying, you're very good at all this, very good, excellent, very good, very impressed, Baman, very impressed. What else you get in the market? I said, what else? I said, onion and potatoes. Okay. What do you know about onions? This is the stupidest conversation I've ever heard. What do you know about onions? I said, nothing. That's my point. That's my point. You know about how to photograph cricket? Pretty good stuff. Football, long jump, high jump, cycle races, every other sport except boxing. Just because you're a photographer and you've got this umbrella term of being a sports photographer, it doesn't mean that you know about boxing. And this is, when I talk to sales teams, I always say, when you change departments, it doesn't mean if you're in a company for 15 years, you're an expert in everything. You've got to start from scratch. If you're a theater actor, you know nothing about screen acting. You want to be a screenwriter, just because you've acted for 20 years, it doesn't mean that you know screenwriting. You want to be a director? Start from scratch. Don't say that, I have arrived. So this was the lesson that I learned. I said, the old man is right. And I went straight to the only boxing tournament in Bombay, and it was in a shed, all right? And there were the thin bichara, those guys with knobbly knees, boxing. I said, what the hell am I going to do? How am I going to take great pictures? I needed international looking pictures. And then I said to myself, and I used to speak to my camera, called him Alfred. I said, Alfred, what do we do? This is what Alfred told me. Alfred says, this is what you got. These are your resources. Make the best of it. I said, okay. And I looked at the boxing. It wasn't great. But the lack of lighting gave it drama. Sometimes these things can be a blessing in disguise. All the sports, the accredited photographers would sit over there, take their photograph, have their chai, smoke, and go. You know why? Because they didn't have to worry about anything, because they had a job. And I started taking pictures from all corners, from here, tarafe se leta, idhar se leta, udhar. And I came back, and after 1 week I went to Aspeta Jane, and I had some fantastic photographs. I really, anyone who says, I can't do this because my father is not this, I can't do this because I come from a small town, I can't do this because I don't speak. No. If this is your resource, you stretch it to your advantage. And I went to Aspeta and I gave him the envelope. And he just took the envelope and he put it in a drawer and just shut the envelope. I said, what the hell, man? In movies, always there's a thing called reversal. You never give the audience what they expect. You always reverse it. And there was reversal. And I was heartbroken. And he gave me an envelope himself. And I opened the envelope and it said, you've been appointed official photographer for the World Cup. Yeah. I said, you've not even seen the pictures. Guess what he said? I didn't have to. I saw it in your eyes. You wanted this job bad, you got it. And I can guarantee you those pictures are very good. Sometimes that's all it takes. That's all it takes. I tell sales teams, guys, I tell the top brass, it's the guy who is selling the product that makes the difference. And I sold it. And he gave me the job. And the Norwegian coach came to me and said, I want 3 pictures. I said, and he asked me, how much will you charge? I said, what, 25 bucks bolu, 50 bolu, 100 rupees bolu, kya bolu? I'm not very good at business, right? So you know the negotiations, how they went. Right now, so to tell them, they say, Bichara, Bichara Baman, yaad hai na? And I think I gave him the best business answer that I could ever come up with. So all of you are great business people. We know we're in the Chamber of Commerce. So he asked me, so how much will you charge? I said, didn't know what to say. But I gave him the most honest answer. And being a non-businessman, I think it was a perfect answer. So just ask me, sir, how much will you charge?
100 bucks?
No. You ask me.
How much will you charge?
International rates, whatever. Huh? Back in the, I didn't know what the hell to say. But correct hai. I'm thinking in my head, give the honest answer. you give an American, you give me the same. We used to be very shy earlier. Now we got a little confidence. So international rates. Oh, all right. Okay, fine. I went and came the day and I went in with my little Alfred. Okay? With thumb winding. All those guys over there with these are Olympians who've come down. The Cubans, the Americans, the Germans. And they had bazookas. And I just melted. I said, how am I going to take good pictures? I said, okay, calm down. And then the Norwegian boxer came in. The magazine that hired me, I was told I would get $60 a picture or $100 a picture. So 16 to 3, I remember these numbers because I've said it too many times. 16 to 3 is 180, 100 into 3 is 300. I either get 180 or 300 for those 3 pictures. And the Norwegian boxer came in and they're ready and I'm saying, come on, Norway! And everything, kya Norway kar raha hai? What the hell is the matter with you? And they started boxing. And I could see my $300 fly away like that. You know why? The German was kicking the shit out of the Norwegian. Talk. I said, hey, come on, Norway, do something. I said, this is reversal ho gaya na. Never give up. I said, come on, man, come on, Ola. His name was Ola Clemetson. I'll never forget these names. Come on, Ola, wake up. And I said, shut up, Baman. Calm down. Stop looking at other people's equipment. That was not a dirty joke. How he laughed. You saw he laughed? Like J. Asthana. Pulling her legs. Stop looking at other people's equipment because they had these big, again, it's not a dirty joke. They had these big bazookas and I had this little fella. And I'm saying, don't do that. Alfred has brought you here. These pictures that you've taken is with the resource that you had. And secondly, stop thinking about the money. Now, this is the worst kind of conversation I can have at the Chamber of Commerce, right? Don't think about the money. Think about what you've committed to. Right? Am I making any sense? Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, if you talk to bankers, think, kya bakwas kar raha hai? And I said, just put your eye into the viewfinder and focus and stop thinking about the money and stop looking at other people. This is what you have. Make the best of it. And I'm sitting over there, I'm saying, Ola getting his ass whooped. And then I said, if it's not meant to happen, it won't happen, but be ready. Be ready for that window of opportunity. And sure enough, Ola swung a roundhouse. Amitabh Bachchan ka Amar Akbar Anthony ho gaya. Ek mara, lekin solid mara. You remember the movie, right? And that guy gave a tuck, and next thing I know, the German's on the floor. That was the window I had, and tuck. I took 3 pictures in the proper way. Went, sent the pictures. Got a call the next morning from Norway, from the magazine Vigi. Make a note of that, no, darling? Vigi. Likho na, tum aap likhte nahi ho. Itna bada pad diya kahe ke liye? You're drawing pictures of your wife? How long have you been married, man? He's drawing for a portrait of his wife. Yeah, close up, lele. This is for poster. Never say. God bless you both, yeah. Really, darling. Hey, don't do it. You come. He got scared. Really, he's doing with rouge and all. That's so sweet. Is that your wife or is that somebody else? You can sign it for me? I'm going to be part of this stupid scheme of yours. Just write down. Vigi. Veegee. Oh, man, I tell you. Next morning, this guy calls me up. His name was Trig Sandabo. He calls up and says, hello, Mr. Irani. I'm saying, my heart is beating. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, how much will I get now? Now I can think of money, right? 180 or 300. All right, Mr. Irani, the pictures are fantastic. Whatever, I did a bad accent. Fantastic. Paise ki baat karo na, darling. Okay, so how much will you charge? I said international rates. Cheeky bugger I was. And I says, 3 pictures. I'll give you $300. I say, yeah, 300. My wife is standing there 4 o'clock in the morning in a Parsi nightie. So please go to the manager and collect a check of $900. Mr. Irani? Mr. Irani? You're not happy? I said, no, sir, I'm very happy, sir. Saying, yeah, wonderful. And that was it. 3 times what I expected, maybe more. 1 week later, they sent a check of $900. I said, gentlemen, don't lodge that check. They've already given us one. And I opened the advice. It was written on the check over there. I said, check dekhe to. $900 for reusing your photographs. And this is before these websites of, I thought I had gypped them off in any case, right? And he was willing to pay me $900 for, the guy was getting 25 rupees for a photograph. I'm getting $900. And he sent me another $900 just because he printed it another time. Can you imagine? And then the reversal happened. You know what the reversal is? What do you think? If you're writing a screenplay, what would you reverse it with? Anyone? No. They sent me another check of another $900 and another $900. Every single time they printed that photograph, their ethics and their system said, you've got to pay the photographer. And I had no way of checking out, not even did I know that this was the norm. But even if it was the norm and they said we paid that cheeky Indian photographer enough, they kept sending it. And I said, something is right. But the point is, you must want something. And want something bad. And don't think about the money. Wrong place to say these lines. Think about that I have made a commitment. And I will stick to the commitment. But I learned a great lesson. Ethics. I started a studio. I took a personal loan. And I just, it was a bad deal. It was a bad deal. And I wanted to do advertising photography. For 2 years I had only three little jobs. I was 30, God knows how many years, I keep forgetting. It was 32 then. I'm 63, so do the cal. 31, correct? I'm so bad at cal, I tell you. There was a lockdown for 2 years. Do you remember this lockdown? A pandemic. Yeah? So history and it was a personal lockdown. You sit at home for 2 years. I was sitting in that studio for 2 years, hoping to get work. Same thing that we all went through. What do you do then? We all went through this pandemic, and what did we think of? How many Netflix shows are we going to watch? What else are we planning to do? And I said, either I sit here and I rot, or I do what Sam Bhara told me to do. And that is pay your dues. Exactly what Aspia Dajania told me to do. Know your onions. And I said, I've never photographed a mug before, or a box before, or a tabletop before. Practice. Don't think just because you're getting paid left, right, and center for 3 photographs means you know your job. And I spent those 2 years practicing. But I lost. I was paying interest upon interest. I couldn't afford a rice plate, 7 rupees. I couldn't. When my scooter ran out of petrol, I should jump out of the scooter and drag that scooter home. And guys would say, "Arey petrol pump udhar hai." I said, "Nahi. Petrol bahut hai. Carburetor mein kachra hai." And I used to go home. My wife, Zenobia, and I've got to tell you this story. It's a beautiful story. She comes and says, "What's with the face?" I said, "No, nothing." Saying, "Stop doing this. You're a happy person. You're always smiling. You're always full of enthusiasm, and you never give up. What's with the face?" I said, no, no face. She goes to a cupboard and takes out her jewelry. And she gives it to me and says, go sell it and pay off that, I said, don't make me do that. I said, I had tears in my eyes, saying, don't do this. No, what the hell? I said, I can't do this. She said, look, what good is this jewelry in the cupboard? If I wear it, you think I'm going to look pretty? You know what? You go chase your dreams. You do your want. All right? Okay? And when you're successful, smile again like you used to. And when you smile, I'll smile. And when I smile, I just might look pretty. I think Salim Javed doesn't write better than this. It just gave me the strength to say, if you're really strong with your want, there will be people, whether it's your wife, the wife can say, are you crazy? What kind of dream is that? But if you're strong with your want, people will support you. Unknown people will support you. Like the guy who used to give me rice plate for 6 months. They supported. क्या अच्छा photography करते हैं क्या सर इतना मुंह मत करो यार हम rice plate खिलाएगा आप बहुत बड़ा photographer बनेगा. And believe it or not, it started changing. Shamak Davar, we know Shamak Davar? He came to my studio, he looked around and said, you're going to be very famous, darling. I said, why? How am I going to be very famous? He said, I don't know. I don't know what he meant. He took his photographs, we took pictures, and I started doing more and more work. I shot for Miss India. Diana Hayden became Miss World. Suddenly I'm flooded with work. You must want something, right? Shamak calls me after 8 months and says, I'm taking you for lunch. Free lunch, chalo. He didn't take me for lunch. He took me to meet Alec Padamsee. I said, what the hell is that? He said, I want you to audition for a play. He said, hey. I said, no, I'm not an actor. He said, don't lie. You're an actor. Every pore in your body is shouting out to me that you want to be on stage. People figure it out, okay? Don't lie to me and don't lie to yourself. I said, okay, let's go there. I auditioned and I got the role and I got to get on stage to say this. And I want you to feel proud of what the role I got. The first role, ladies and gentlemen, as an actor, guess what the role was? Please encourage me. I got the role of a pimp. Yeah, I got the role of a pimp. And I had 3 minutes, a 3-minute window, right? And I said, this is my window. Laurence Olivier said, there are no small parts, only small actors. I love that line. But the line that really gave me a lot of confidence or gave me purpose was Bruce Lee's line. And he said that I do not fear the man who has 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who has 1 kick, but he practices it 1,000 times. I said, "Ye mil gaya mere ko." Okay, and I continuously practiced for that moment till it became second nature to me. It became part of my DNA. That's what actors do. Make it part of your DNA, and then when you throw the line, it just feels it should be natural. And I went on stage, and I performed. The play was a disaster. It was like a funeral. I said, bloody hell. And I did my thing. And I got an ovation. And I said, wow, this is what it is. And you know that big want? I came in from the artist's entrance that day, my friends. You know, and that's the point I'm trying to. I came here and I'm standing on stage. This wooden stage, I love it. I love the lights. I love the sound. And I love my audience, okay? I just love my audience. Wherever I go, I will always be respectful of my audience. And Arshad Varsi was the choreographer. He was not acting then. Standing over there and thinking, come on now, your scene is over. He's saying, no, they're clapping, let it be, man. Ah. And I was so happy with myself. I got my next role, which is a play called I'm Not Baji Rao. It's about 2 old men. We're about to finish, don't worry, okay, guys? Can I go on for another 10, 12 minutes? He's saying, go on, we paid you for the full hour, yeah? So, yeah, I tell you. I told you I'll be cracking jokes at you. Yeah. There's a bench, and there are 2 old fuddy-duddies who would talk for 2.5 hours. Who's going to come and watch that play? Nobody. About aches and pains and glaucoma and arthritis and their sex life. They actually talk about their sex life. Which 75-year-old man's sex life you want to talk about? You maybe, you make Paul drawings about all that shit. Yeah. And that play was, we rehearsed for 4 or 5 months, and it was only meant for 3 shows with an audience of 150. Can you imagine the effort that went into 3 shows, 150 people? Okay, but we got to do the 1,000 kicks, right? Someone came and said, don't release this in the experimental theater. Do it in the big theater. Saying, who's going to come and watch this? He's saying, trust me, try. And we opened, there was an opening, we opened at the Tata Theatre, 1,200 seater. And on opening night, with the biggest actors in theater, they don't get a house full. It was house full. Don't ask me why. You know why? This is my guess. People sense good things from miles away. They know beforehand. Whatever it is that you're selling, they can tell from your logo. These people know how to do their thing. There is something that comes. And it was house full, and they were laughing and crying from the moment the play started till it ended, and they stood and they clapped and they clapped and they clapped and they clapped. And Sudhir Joshi, Marathi stage actor, passed away, unfortunately. We held hands and we bowed and said, what the hell is going on? And a show that was meant for 3 performances of 150. We started with 1,200 seater, first show, went on for 10 houseful years. How does that happen? Don't ask me. Quality sells. Quality sells. Reputation, quality. You got to build that. It keeps going. You're all identifying with what I'm saying. Am I right? Okay. Then I got another call. We're almost there, okay, sir? We're almost there. A call from Feroz Khan of the theater. And he gave me, he said, I want you to play Mahatma Gandhi. I said, okay, take it easy, boy. He's saying, just because I can play an old man, it doesn't mean I can play Mahatma Gandhi. He says, do you know how much I weigh? He's saying, yeah, go to a dietitian. I said, okay, I'll go to a dietitian. And I lost 30 kilos. But before that, I went and spoke to Sudhir Joshi. Great actor. I said, Sudhir, kya karu main? I'm getting the role of Gandhi. Do it, do it. Do it? Yeah, do it. Which Gandhi, but? Mahatma Gandhi? Tu pagal ho gaya? I thought Frontier Gandhi. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. वो correct करेगा. And I panicked. He's saying, look, go, lose weight. Walk like him, talk like him, sound like him, do everything. Do it perfectly, okay? But all that won't matter after a while. Remember one thing, don't lose confidence. If you don't believe you are him on that stage, they won't believe. If you don't believe what you're selling, and that goes for all of us, if you don't believe in what you're selling, how are you expecting the audience to believe it? It's all about belief. And we did Gandhi. I lost 30 kilos. I became like a stick. Couldn't do anything about the height. One dress rehearsal, somebody shouted from the audience, "Hey, bahut khate peete ghar ka Gandhi dikhta hai." We traveled the world with that play. We're very proud. Got some great reviews. And then I got a call from Ram Madhwani. He says, Baman, I want to cast you in a movie. I said, ka-ching, now's the time to make money. It's an experimental film. I said, Meri nasib mein sab experimental hota hai. And he said, what we're going to do is in 6 months, we'll write it ourselves, we'll rehearse it ourselves, and then we'll shoot it on a handy cam. I mean, the word digital didn't even come to his mind, because it was really the handy cam, the kind of, you know, the guys, shh, guys, something very important going on. Darling, they're getting, this gentleman in the red tie is getting upset. Blame it on, why should I say I'm... So, where was I? Where was I? You know the one, the kind of camera, the uncle who used to come from Texas? He would take shots of everything, the starters, the chandelier, you know, that kind of camera. We put the hand, and we shot a movie on that in 8 days. This is 22 years ago. Digital was not a thing. It was so rough looking, and we shot in 8 days. I said, Ram, when are we going to release this thing? He said, no way, who told you we're going to release this thing? I said, yeah. I said, you know what? We've made this film for you, for me, for our family, for our friends, and to ease the passing of time. I said, I'm not an old man here. What the hell are you talking about? But he was right. We did it for ourselves. We did it to prove that nothing is too small to put in each and everything that we know or want to experience into the smallest of things. And we released the film. We had a premiere, like there was one yesterday for Unchai in Ram's house. 11 of us attended. We gave it rave reviews. We gave it a standing ovation. Yeah? And we were proud of the film. But when the film was being edited, Baba, sir, please, sir. Thanks. When the film was being edited, there was a producer who was editing his own blockbuster, and on the next monitor was this film. You think, वो कौन सी पिक्चर है यार? बहुत गंदी पिक्चर लग रही है यार. ये एक्टर कौन है? बमन ईरानी. पारसी है? बोला हाँ. भेजो मेरे पास. I went to his house. He gave me dinner and he gave me a check of 2 lakhs. I said, what's this for? हिंदी पिक्चर करेगा ना, याद रखना, मेरी अगली पिक्चर के लिए ये. I said, कौन सी आपकी अगली पिक्चर? मेरे पास कहानी नहीं है. I said, what kind of a guy? These filmy people are crazy. I said, he's saying, but I'm telling you, if you agree to do any Hindi film, you won't have dates for me. I'm booking you now. I said, really? Based on this film? Yeah, this film that we were never going to release. This film that nobody ever saw. Have you ever heard of a film called Let's Talk? No. But the person who needed to see it saw it. But he disappeared. Reversal. And he called after 9 months. Yara, कहानी मिल गई, कमाल की कहानी है, अरे ऐसा कमाल. I said, picture का नाम क्या है? He said, Munna Bhai MBBS. What's the point I'm making here? If we had treated Let's Talk like something we say 8 days, we just read the lines and we do it. No. You do it all the way. If you put your name on it, you do it properly. That was the film that got me Munna Bhai. I said, what? Kahani kya hai? I think, Yara, kamal ki kahani hai, kamal. एक गुंडा है, वो डॉक्टर बनना चाहता है. I said, it's the worst story I've ever heard in my life. I said, मेरा रोल क्या है? तू एक डॉक्टर है, तू हंसते रहेगा पूरे पिक्चर में. I said, the worst character I heard in my life. I said, I can't believe this. You think, तू एक काम कर, समझ में नहीं आएगा तेरे, तू राजू को जाके मिले. So who the hell is Raju now? So I went and met him. Raju told me the story. And you know what? It's a beautiful story. I said, you know, if we can get 80% out of this on screen, this is going to be superb. You know, when you write a story, and any story with a want, the want that you decide on has to be insurmountable. I forgot to tell you that. It can't be an easy one. If it's an easy walk, it's a walk in the park. But a gunda wants to be a doctor. He can't be a doctor. It has to be insurmountable. It reminds me of a film called Ratatouille. Have you seen the movie Ratatouille? A rat who's not allowed in the kitchen. He's not allowed in the kitchen. But not only does he want to live in the kitchen, he wants to be a chef. What kind of a want is that? You got to write your own story like that, like Ratatouille. Something that's impossible to happen. All right. So we made the film. It was cast. Vivek Oberoi was supposed to be in it. Aishwarya Rai was supposed to be in it. Kajol was supposed to be in it. Shah Rukh dropped in. All this nonsense went on. Then we got a 44-year-old college kid, Sanjay Dutt, to do it, right? And we made this movie in a tight budget in record time. We didn't have the money. Nobody wanted to touch this movie, finance this movie, or release this movie. Nobody wanted to touch. Arshad Varsi had some, God knows, 10 years. He had not had a hit. And this guy, nobody had seen him in the movies before, right? We didn't have money to shoot the last scene. The last scene was one shot of us on the stage, the Shadi Ka Mandap wala. Shadi Ka Mandap takes lakhs of rupees to make the flowery mandap. So that for mandap wala, nahi sir. नहीं होएगा, इतने बजट में नहीं होएगा. क्या करे? जाओ किसी के शादी में गेट क्रैश करो. Vinod Chopra. Lovely idea, yaar. हम लोग he really took the idea, and we actually gate crashed someone's wedding. Would you believe it? We sat behind the mandap. Sunil Dutt, Sahab, Sanju, Arshad, Gracie. I mean, we came on stage after the Baratis went home. We stood on stage, took the photographs, and ran away. I mean, it's one of India's most beloved films. And people think it's easy to make films. And one of India's most beloved films was made like this. Nobody wanted to touch it or release it. Yeah? I said, karenge. We'll pay you after the movie. If at all it makes money, we pay you. I said, okay. Because we believed in it as usual. Right? We released the film. I mean, this film, Gracie Singh was the biggest star. Nobody touched this film. We somehow released it. And in the those days there used to be more single screens. And even the worst picture, the biggest flop, would be Houseful on day one. Not this one. It just bombed when it opened. Believe it or not. And I went to the Maratha Mandir theatre in my scooty. I shut the dukan. From the dukan, I just shut the dukan, from the studio to the dukan, release Zenobia. She used to sit at the shop. And I went in the night and used to watch the movie from behind. And I said, what a beautiful movie. I can't believe it's half empty or half full. You make your choice. But they were laughing and they were crying. And that's all that matters sometimes. You can't say 500 crores, 200 crores. I mean, yeah. I came out of the theater. I stood on the street and I heard a voice. Ye mamo, upar ne niche dekho. There was a lady, very rough-looking lady, who was sitting on the footpath. And she looked up to me, and she smiled. And I looked at her, and she's given me a compliment. I get shy with compliments, But don't hesitate if you have any compliment. I like it, but I get shy. Anyway. And she said something amazing. The best compliment I've ever heard. First of all, she gave me a flying kiss. Mamo, क्या कमाल का एक्टिंग किया तूने यार. I said, wow, she liked me, right? And then she said something that blew my mind completely. She said, बहुत पैसा कमाएंगे हम. Okay, sounded strange. I thought that she was a producer or distributor that had 7-8 flops and now she's on the road. बहुत पैसा कमाएंगे हम, क्या बात कर रहे हो? मैं ब्लैक में टिकट बेचती हूं, मेरे को सब मालूम है कौन सी पिक्चर डूबेगी, कौन सी पिक्चर उठेगी. क्या? I called up Raju. I said, Raju, हमारी पिक्चर हिट हो गई. कौन बोला? ट्रेड गाय तरण आदर्श. कौन बोला? Sorry. Good evening, sir. Please. कौन बोला? तरण आदर्श ट्रेड गाइड. I said, नहीं, Raju, no. ब्लैक मार्केट में जो बेचते हैं. तू पागल हो गया, तू ब्लैक मार्केट वाले को. And I said, I believe that this is going to make a difference. Believe it or not, the next few shows later, it just picked up by word of mouth. Good things sell. Truthful things sell. Things with belief sells. Whatever you're selling, it'll sell. And then, 10 days later, the nominations were out. Can you imagine? The world turned around, the nominations were out, and 10 days after that were the first awards. And the night before the awards, I met Arshad. He's saying, my God, look at it, our movie had flopped. It's now become a blockbuster. People are loving it. People are going crazy. People will remember this movie for a long time. What are you wearing tomorrow? I said, what do you mean? Saying, what suit? I said, I don't have a. You don't have a suit? I said, no, man, I'm a shopkeeper. So he says, we get you a suit. Hello? Naresh bhai, I'm masculine. एक सूट बनानी है. किसके लिए? बमन ईरानी. मैं जानता नहीं. I said, very good, because these film outfitters are very expensive. I said, मेरे को नहीं चाहिए. So he said, award function के. कौन से पिक्चर? मुन्ना भाई. क्या काम किया उसने? तो वो डॉक्टर. अरे वो टकला मामू. अरे मैं उसका बड़ा फैन, मैं बनाएगा. I said, oh God, now he's going to make a suit. It's going to cost the earth. And it did. All right. I said, measurements के लिए आ जाओ. Say, नहीं, time नहीं है उसके लिए. I said, I am not paying for an ill-fitting suit. I'm sorry. So he says, no. आप बनाओ, बस मैं भेजता हूँ 110%. So I said, उसको फोन दो. Hello, मामू, how are you? अरे क्या अच्छा काम किया, कमाल है काम. तो मैं बोला, measurements, आपका height क्या है? I said, what do you mean मेरा height क्या है? 6'2". Suit बन जाएगी. I said, no. 6'2" means you'll make the collar here. What are you talking about? So he says, देखो, मेरे पास घर में मुन्ना भाई MBBS का DVD है. मैं टीवी पे देखेगा आपको. आप जब फुल लेंथ में आएंगे मैं पॉज करे. मैं पॉज करेगा. आपने आपका हाइट क्या बोला? 6'2". तो 6 feet 2 inches और मैं टीवी पे नाप लेगा. अगर 10 inches 6 feet 2 is equivalent and you know the math. तो मैं ऐसा शोल्डर ऐसा करके थोड़ा मैं लूज रखेगा जस्ट इन केस. लेंथ परफेक्ट आएगा, आप फिक्र मत करो. फर्स्ट टाइम किया है लेकिन ट्राई मारेंगे. अच्छा नहीं लगा तो पैसा नहीं देना. Now the next day are the awards. And guess where I am? They won't give me a green room. I am this guy nobody knows. And I'm standing under the stage in the dark with those cross putties on a towel, waiting for my suit. Beg your pardon. And the awards are going on. I should have been sitting in one of the rows over there, you know, and they come with a camera when the nomination has been called, no? That's where you get to see the best acting in the world. When they come with a camera and the nominees are 1, 2, 3, 5 camera ke khade ho jate. The best, you know why it's the best acting? Because when you lose, you've got to say, oh, no, he was better. No, he deserves it. Andar se jalan itni ho rahi hai, lekin wahan pe bola, nahi, he was better. I couldn't do even the best acting. Main piche khada hu, under the stage in a towel, and then one by one the nominees, the awards are being dished out. And then I heard, like in the pandemic, they used to sell vegetables. Dudhi, like a bamani rani, Hurry, idhar aao. And Sanjay came with the suit. Now we are friends for 20 odd years. And I started wearing the suit, and Prem Chopra Saab comes on stage and starts making the nomination announcement. And I'm fixing my tie, and he announces, and the winner is Bamani Rani. And I can't go in the front. I don't know where to go from. I said, good God, I can't. If I go in front, then they'll start the next thing. So what I did was I went behind and I saw a ramp, the service ramp, where they pick the big stuff goes on that ramp with patties on that. And I went up, and then I fell down. I dusted myself. I got up again, I fell down. I dusted. I said, stop. That's what you've been all your life. You've been running, you've fallen. You've gotten up, you dusted yourself, you move on. But go aram se today, go in style. I dusted myself, I went and collected my first award, ladies and gentlemen. Another big want complete, but you can't stop. The base of, the unchai of one mountain becomes the base of another, the base camp of another, right? You've got to keep going on. I want to tell you 3 things before I end. 3 things. Just before the pandemic, I went to New York, and my assistant was there. I said, we'll do some pictures. Photography assistant. I said, yeah. So he started doing pictures. I said, can we go to the theater district? He's saying, sure. So I said, yeah, the theaters are right here. We're at Times Square. He's saying, no, take me to the New Amsterdam Theater. And I went to the New Amsterdam Theater. I stood at the artist's entrance and I got myself a picture. Before the pandemic, I went to Oslo. And there was a film festival where they gave me an award. And after they showed a couple of my films. And a young lady was doing an interview of me. And I said, my next film, my next project, well, you know, the usual. And I said, excuse me, ma'am, which magazine do you represent? And she said, Vigi. I said, forget all this. I've got a beautiful story to tell you about a young photographer whose life you impacted because of your honesty. And I told her the story of the boxing, right? Some years before that, I went to New York again. And I went to the Lexington Hotel and I entered, and they're all very kind. In New York especially, it's rare that somebody gives you a bouquet of flowers. They'll just stand in line. Over here it's different, ITC, so it's such a warm welcome, thank you. And the gentleman there gave me a bouquet of flowers. I took the flowers and I gave it back to him and said, I can't accept flowers from you, Mr. Sam Bhada. You taught me my greatest lesson and you gave me my first job. And I will always be grateful. I will always be grateful because you taught me to pay your dues. Next year, I'm directing my first film at the age of 63, Grandpa, right? But before I started, 9 years ago, I decided to learn screenwriting. It's taken me 9 years to write one little script, but you got to do that Bruce Lee kick 1,000 times. How it turns out, I have no idea, but at least I tried. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a fantastic audience. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Can we get a song from Mr. Irani, please? I believe.
But you're asking the audience. You can.
I want to ask you, sir. Can we?
Of course, that's a deal we made, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. One second, I need a sip of water. Mohan, garam pani hai na, Baba? Huh, darling, Mohan? Oh yeah. Everyone say hi to Mohan. He travels with me across the world. Yeah. My wife is very jealous of him. Please, a big round of applause for Mohan. Okay. It's not playing? Yeah. Oh, can we try one last time? Can you just try playing it if the minus one? Just see if it works. If it not, then we'll.
So by the time they're preparing the song, can I just ask you a little question?
Sure, let's do it.
You know, with your humble beginnings, today your popularity, has it become a liability or is it a pleasure?
Popularity is fine. I look forward to the love that I receive. I don't look at it as popularity as a thing you wear around your neck and be proud or irritated with popularity. I think the love one receives from people you've never met is a beautiful thing. And I cherish it and I respect it. And a lot of people, I just feel, they come to this city, to Mumbai to become actors, and they want to be famous. I think I wanted to be an actor, and people want to be famous, and then when they become famous, they wear big sunglasses and hide and run away. You know, what the hell, man? These are your customers. Treat them well.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to welcome Dr. General V.K. Singh. Thank you, sir. In spite of your travels, you have kept your commitment to ICC. We are really grateful to have you here. And thank you again, sir. And we look forward to hearing you soon.
So nice of you to be here, sir. Is the track working? Oh, yeah? Really? So we can do a couple of questions before we fix the track. Anyone would like to?
So one or two questions from the audience, please.
I'm not Bajirao, no. That can never be seen, unfortunately. We performed in Kolkata many times, actually.
Would you like to say something about Unchai? I mean, it just released yesterday.
Unchai is released today. I do have butterflies in my tummy, but it was quite an event going up there to the base camp. We went 14,000 feet above sea level. It was tough doing, a tough film to make, but nobody cares about that. Nobody should even think that, oh, so we got to be nice to them because there were hardships. We're not interested. Tell them a good story, tell them a truthful story, and be in the moment, and do things that people empathize with. You know, And if you can't engage an audience, nobody cares whether you climbed Mount Everest or not. You say, you went. No, I don't. Doesn't matter. Just tell a truthful story, a story one believes in. So Unchai releases today. It's a Rajeshri film. Rajeshri is celebrating 75 years on the 15th of August, 75 years ago, on the day we became an independent country. They started their company, and not one film of theirs can be said that they deviated from their principles and their belief systems. Not one. Not for the love of anything did they do make a single film to go with the tide. They've always swum against the tide. And I'm very, very proud to be in the company, of the august company of Mr. Bachchan, Arun Kher and I, and Danny Saab. Imagine 4 friends. What company to be in? When I was a kid, I used to go and watch Mr. Bachchan's films. Today, in the film, not in real life, in the film I can, hey, Amit. And I say, oh, sorry. Can you imagine? This little kid is telling, and it's difficult. If you're a professional, it shouldn't matter. And he's a professional. Say, oh, woman, you're doing a role. Sorry, stop being sorry. Stop being sorry. Yeah. And it's amazing. Amit. Like, hi? How dare you? But no, he's such a professional. He said, sorry. Such a beautiful experience to work and to be in the company and to say that we're buddies for 50 years. How did I get here? From the back door. From the back door of the New Amsterdam Theatre of my own life.
Sir, it's an honor today. You have your Ochai releasing today.
Right.
And here is a man who's fought at these Ochais.
Of course.
And I'm sure today, apart from listening to his new avatar, we would, if he would share with us later about his Ochais, which he has fought at.
Good to have you, sir. I'm sorry there's a little delay. Is the track working finally? Yeah? Sorry? Technical issue. Where have I heard that before? All right, so we can't do the song. What I'll do is, if it's going to happen, we can wait a couple of minutes, Shahrukh. If it's not going to happen, it'll happen. I love that. Go for it, Shahrukh. Some more water. Let's be prepared in the lockdown. Mohan, you go on the other side, baby.
Pani.
Mohan is giving them. Now, after all of this tamjham, I better sing correctly. Don't go out. Yep.
We could take one question from the audience.
We'll take one more question from the audience. So sorry to keep you waiting, sir.
Sir, we are with apologies with your permission.
Apologies. One more. Yeah, the technical issues. Anybody a question since we are waiting? Yes, please go ahead, young man. You want a mic? Yeah, sir. I don't remember my lines on the set. You want me to remember them after 15 years? Yeah, sir. Go ahead.
So, good evening, sir.
Sorry? I'll figure it out. Imagine, it's not even on YouTube. Can you imagine? But that's the film that gave me my break. So Al Pacino said, if you're good, they'll come searching for you in Siberia. And nobody's seen Let's Talk, and I still, thanks to that film, I'm here. But we'll figure out a way to put it on YouTube. Thank you for... Sure, I will. Sure.
Sir, can I request our chief guest for the evening? General Dr. Vijay Kumar Singh, Minister of State, Road Transport, Highways and Civil Aviation, Government of India, who has so kindly graced the occasion to come on the dais. So without much ado, sir, can we request you, I mean, you've had a long day, and we request you to kindly share your views with us, sir.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, it's a pleasure to come for the function that you all have organized, for the simple reason that I think I've been missing it for a number of years with all the invitations pending. Let me apologize for many times that I have been invited here. Somehow, as they say, the stars never coincided with what you were organizing. And it was a pleasure to listen to Boman. He is not only talented, like I told him, he is a good Babaji. And the quality in Babajis is that they can laugh at anything, including what happens to them. And I think the type of response that I saw to what he was telling you, I felt a little cheated. Let's give them a big hand. As part of your AGM, you know, when you're in the government, you only talk of governmental things. Unfortunately, I also happened to spend very good time of more than 2 years in Kolkata as the army commander, and it's good to see some places that have changed in Kolkata. And a good thing is people haven't changed much. They still have warm hearts, they still have the same smile and same hospitality. What is important is to understand that India is changing. And it's not a cliche. I'm seeing it for the last 8 years since 2014. And there's a great change that is coming. I don't know whether you notice it or not. There are a lot of things which are going unnoticed, but they all concern each one of us. Each one of us. If we say that, earlier we used to say we are very good in IT, but when you went to the villages, you didn't find that happening. But today when you go to the villages, you find everybody is on social media. Everybody is using a smartphone. Everything is happening on apps. That is the change that is coming. And this change can be good or bad, depending on how we want to harness it. Change is coming in businesses, change is coming in the way our startups are working, changes are coming in way our youngsters are creating landmarks for themselves. I had a small group which came from Kolkata to me to talk about the EV vehicles, young people. And they were dealing with the 2 and 3 wheelers. So I said, since you have come here, tell me what is this where the batteries are catching fire? And they said, sir, these are all shady imported Chinese batteries. So I said, what is the answer? They said, we have already found an answer. Now I was quite perplexed. And they said, sir, it is only a software problem. A young team has already solved it. No battery is going to catch fire. That is India. That is what the change is coming in. And that is why today, when you go anywhere in the world, you are respected. Today, your passport is worth its name where India is written. And today, when an Indian goes outside, he also goes out with the confidence that there is a government which will ensure that if he gets into problem, they will rescue him. This is the change that has come. It wasn't so earlier. And I'm not going to say that things were not good or bad earlier, or they are not good or bad now. But certainly this change we must recognize. If you are getting startups which are shooting up all over, and we seem to be attracting people who want to partner with the startups, that's the change. If today you are the biggest consumer of data in the world, that's the change. Now, how we harness it is up to us. You're all mostly in the business. We all talk of how to make things better. But that initiative has to start from you. That's something which we have to shed. Because for the last 75 years, we have been looking up to the government to do things for us. A time has come when we have to find our own way. And that is the change we must bring in. If you want ease of business, you have to suggest. Change will come. That is a surety. That when you suggest something which requires a change, it will happen. Today, there is a greater confidence in our younger generation. And if we want to harbor the ambitions of doing better and better, then we need to use this demographic dividend, as it is called, in a manner in which we can actually attain what we want. And always hold it that if you don't think of reaching the moon, you won't reach the ceiling. You have to think about it. If you think big, things will happen. It's all in you. Let me give one particular example of from the army. Unfortunately, when you spend 42 years in the army, a lot of it remains with you. Like all the world that a woman is working in, that will remain with him. And I don't know how many of you know that he sings very well. Actually, he sings very well. Somebody with the type of voice and tenor that he has, very few people have. Now, this example is from what happened in our northern borders in the year 1962, when for various decisions taken by our decision makers, the army was pushed unprepared, without the type of wherewithal that was needed to the borders. The unit that I was commissioned in, 2nd Battalion, the Rajput Regiment, it was deployed on Namkachu. Namkachu is ahead of Tawang, just below the Dhola range. And whosoever deployed them was deploying them right along a nala which is called Namkachu. General Kaul, who was on ascendancy at that time, with the type of support that he had in the political circles, he was named the corps commander, and he visited this particular brigade, the 7th Brigade, gave them motivational lecture. And then he, like a typical thing which you have heard in number of movies, he said, "Koi shak, kisi ko koi sawal पूछना hai." Slightly anglicized. I can't speak that anglicized version. But one Subedar Saab, Dashrath Singh was his name, got up, he said, "Saab, ek sawal पूछना hai." The general was very happy. Somebody is there to ask him a question. "Pucho Saab." So Dashrath Singh said that he has fought in Second World War and now he is deployed here after having also fought in the Kashmir War in 48. And he said, "Saab, आज तक हम कभी ऐसा डिप्लॉय नहीं हुए जहां पर हम नीचे हों और दुश्मन हमसे ऊपर हो." The general lost his cool. He actually lost his cool and he said, "Court-martial this chap." And he said, "तुमको कुछ नहीं पता है." Well, I think a lot of people intervened and said, we will sort him out, and he was quickly escorted out. Dashrath Singh, when the attack came, his company commander took a hit. He was left commanding this company. They had only 100 rounds of 303, the Lee Enfield. The rounds finished. They fought with the rifles. And he took almost 33 bullets and fell. Didn't die. That's how God is. So he was lying down, blood oozing out. Once in a while he would come into his senses and mutter something. And that is the time the mopping up party of the Chinese came, and they had a system in which there would be a doctor, a nurse, and a party of 4 people. The doctor and the nurse would check Chinese soldiers as well as the Indian soldiers. And whomsoever they thought was alive or had a chance of remaining alive, they'll put a tick mark on his head. And the other person, if they felt had no chances, they'll put a cross, and he'll be shot by this party which was coming. When they came to Dashrath Singh, that is the time that he came out of his senses, or came to his senses, and muttered something, and this nurse came and asked him in Hindi, "Kahan se ho?" And he said, "Allahabad." He was not from Allahabad, he was from Varanasi. Why he said Allahabad, I don't know. And this nurse put a tick on his head. 33 bullets in him. Actually, he would have been shot. They evacuated him, this nurse took care of him. And as a prisoner of war, they treated him. And the nurse was generally ensuring that she gave him time. When they were being repatriated from Bumla, Dashrath Singh asked this nurse, "Aapne mera itna seva kyun kiya?" And the nurse said, "Because I learnt my nursing in Allahabad." He survived. He was then taken as ADC by Raja of Varanasi. Now, why I'm telling you this story is that many things happen to each one of us. Many adversities come with us. If you have the will to cross those adversities, you will prevail. You will win. But if you succumb to it, then you are sunk. And business is like that. If you feel you are having competition from the Chinese, you have to find a way out. I mean, most of you who have gone abroad would know that the stores abroad, Indian goods are above $20, while Chinese goods are below $20. Our quality is better. And if we can maintain that quality, things will improve. Unfortunately, we have come in a manner in which we love to take shortcuts. So, one item is of quality, and after that we say, ye big jayega, let's cut corners. When you cut corners, you will sink. And there is another example that I can give you on this. After 1945, when Japan surrendered, MacArthur became de facto head of Japan. And his task was to how to rebuild Japan. When he visited his home in United States sometime in late 45, he found that there was one management professor who was not liked by anybody in USA. And that person used to teach quality. He used to teach about what is quality control, what is the significance of quality, and what are the advantages of quality. Since he was not liked in USA, he took him to Japan. And the Japanese thronged to each and every lecture that he used to give. And the result was that in a decade after 1945, the Japanese came up with ground glass, they replaced the ground glass lenses with polished glass lenses. And their cameras were better than the ground glass lenses used by the Germans, which was liked by everybody. And then they ensured that whatever they produced had quality in it. They became economic power. So that's a message I want to leave with you. If you believe in quality, if you produce quality, you will win the market. It will come, it will take a little time, but after that all profits are going to be yours. But if you fall in for short-term gains, then your ascendancy is going to be very short-term. And that is what we must understand. Today, as India gains its rightful place, who had thought in, let's say, 10 years back that we would get the G20 presidency? I don't think so. This year we are getting the G20 presidency. It is time for us to make a mark in world. It's a time for us to prove to the world that India has what others do not have. And that is where all of you come in. As members of a merchant chamber, it is for you to ensure that what you project is something which people will marvel at. And some of these delegations are going to come to Kolkata. They need to see what is in India that makes India better than others. And it is for us to show that India is better. Let me buttress that with an example, because without example things don't sink. Do you all remember when President Clinton came to India on his first visit? He came, and that is the time I think the Vajpayee government was in place. And in his program, they took him to a village in Rajasthan. There are a lot of people who have their roots in Rajasthan. And they took him to a village, typical village, dry, traditional, women sitting with a ghungat. And they took him to this place where there was a woman with her lehenga and typical this thing, working with a laptop as a person who was coordinating collection of milk and milk being sent somewhere else. Clinton asked her a couple of questions. And there was an old man who somehow nudged, some old men have this habit, who nudged his way into this entourage of Clinton, and he was telling him in Rajasthani, I hope you still don't think that India is black magic and elephants and snakes. It was translated to Clinton. They went back. So imagine the impression that he must have carried. Here is India, about which people have talked differently, but what he sees in a remote village is a woman who's probably not even done her matric, sitting with a laptop and working on it. So when the G20 delegations come to you, you have to prove to them that you are far superior to anything in the world that is available. And mind you, if you think you are not superior, you will not prove it. But if you think you are superior, which you are, then you will prove it. So that's the thought I want to leave with you. As I walked in, I was asking Rajiv, what do you want me to talk? And he said, anything. I said, okay, let me piece together anything. So I have, my sole aim of talking to you is that you are all at places, in positions in which you can contribute towards the name of the nation. It is for you to ensure that with your example, others cling on to you and make a place which India deserves in the world. And I'm sure it can start from Kolkata. Thank you very much.
Hello, hello. Is there any reverb on this? Is there any reverb on this? Little bit? Okay, so I'll just, I've been requested for a song. It's my most favorite song and probably the only song I know. It's one song, I've practiced the kick 1,000 times instead of thinking 1,000 songs. Yeah? So, it's called My Way. It tells the story of each of our lives. And let's hope the track, the backing track works. And my voice is a little off, but doesn't matter. I'm with friends. Doesn't matter. Great music sung by Frank Sinatra, but just try and hang on to every word. That's all I request of you. Let's play the track, please. Sorry about my backing you. A little louder, please. And now the end is near, so I face the final curtain. My friends, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, sing with me, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up, spit it out. I faced them all, and I stood tall share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that. And may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he is not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. Thank you so much, sir. It is? I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Thank you very much. Didn't want to back you. Please. Would you like to just... Yeah, sure. Please.
Thank you, everyone. It's on behalf of everyone at the ICC, it's my duty to give a vote of thanks. And it's my honor to give a vote of thanks to two amazing personalities today, Boman Irani ji and General VK Singh ji. Firstly, Boman ji, you've been amazing. I think your speech, your song, I think you have really, blown everyone away. And I'll share a short extract. Boman ji was is the brand ambassador for Keyspine, which I'm an investor in. And I must say, he's so popular that whether people we help people with back problems, but whether people had back problems or not, they all came to us after he became the brand ambassador. So thank you so very much for coming, for speaking. और हिंदी में मैं बॉम्बे से हूँ, तो हिंदी में कहते हैं कि हीरो स्क्रीन पे होता है, पर मैं बोल रहा हूँ असली हीरो ही जो होती है, हीरोगिरी जो होती है, जो आदमी डे टू डे लाइफ से लड़ता है. एंड द स्टोरी ही टोल्ड अबाउट अस, हाउ he came from making potato wafers in Bombay to I love Irani places also, fewer and fewer left, but the way he fought, the way he got with his photographer, I mean I think ये असली हीरो है जो रोज का रोज दिन में चलता है. और हमारे उनके बाजू में जो बैठे हैं जनरल वीके सिंह, he is another great person. I mean ultimately, usually when you meet, you said general retired, but General Singh has never really retired from serving the country. He still continues to serve. He's still selflessly giving to the country. He keeps every day doing great things for our nation. I mean, most people at the age, I know actually General Singh is also a friend of my father's. I don't know if you know, I'm Suresh Prabhuji's son. And that his wife is also friends with my mother. But I know how hard, most people in their 70s would want to relax, retire after so many years of service to the country. But General Singh keeps serving, keeps going out there. Even today, I know he was slightly delayed, but he was delayed for work for our nation in the east of our country, in the northeast. So, that's our ministers today. All the time they're working, all the time they're giving it the best for the nation. So thank you so much, General Singh. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much to the audience. You've been here for 4.5 hours. I would say on the theme of heroes, 3 hero hai. Boman Irani ji, General Singh ji, or aap sab, because you've really been amazing, listening for so long, so patiently, still a full house. So thank you so very much on behalf of the ICC. Thank you so very much. Hope to see you again next year at our AGM, and really appreciate everything. Thank you so much. Thank you.
all the committee members of ICC are requested to please move to conference room 3 and 4 for the first executive committee meeting. All the members of ICC executive committee are requested to please move to the conference room 3 and 4 for the first executive committee.